Chapter 4352. Dao. Xiaohua? Are you Xiaohua? Fairy Jing probed in a low voice, her voice carrying a hint of sadness. Who? The head seemed to be on the verge of death. Only now did it notice that someone had landed. It tilted its head slightly and looked at Fairy Jing with difficulty. Although the light was as red as blood, although the shadow was like a ghost, and although Fairy Jing was prepared, when she saw half of the human's face, her body trembled as if she had been struck by lightning. She couldn't help but tremble, and tears began to flow from her eyes. Dao. Xiaohua. Fairy Jing once again called out these three words. Although these three words weren't any different from the three words from a few breaths ago, the concern, heartache, sadness, and surprise were countless times greater. Following these three words, the memories from 200 years ago that had been washed away by the water of unruffled love, gushed out like a fountain that had almost dried up. Every time a sliver of memory was born, Fairy Jing's heart felt as if it was being cut by a knife. The sweetness was filled with sorrow, because she understood in her heart that the reason why Xiaohua was suppressed here and suffered so much for the past 100 years was because of her. Oh, who are you? Xiaohua raised his head and stared at Fairy Jing before asking in bewilderment. It's this concubine. Li Jing, you don't remember? Fairy Jing's voice trembled. Xiaohua's words were like a knife stabbing into her heart. She had originally blamed Xiaohua's fall on her. Now that she heard Xiaohua's words, she felt that Xiaohua hated her. The regret in her heart was incomparable. Li Jing. A trace of confusion appeared in Xiaohua's eyes. It was as if he didn't know Fairy Jing at all. This Xiaohua naturally wasn't the real Xiaohua, but rather the transformation of Little White Dragon. If it was Xue Xue or Fairy Hongxia, Little White Dragon would naturally know. However, Fairy Jing hadn't been with Xiaohua for long, so Little White Dragon hadn't seen her before. What was more special was that Xiaohua had never mentioned Fairy Jing again after she left. Even if Little White Dragon had Xiaohua's soul imprint, how could he know Xiaohua's secret? Oh, I remember now. Little White Dragon was only confused for a moment, but it immediately pretended to wake up and replied in a calm tone, Why are you here? This concubine. Didn't this concubine tell you earlier? When Fairy Jing heard Xiaohua's indifferent tone, her heart tightened again. She thought that Xiaohua was blaming her and hurriedly explained, I have the bloodline of the demon race, and this bloodline comes from Bai Qingyu. Oh, I see. The Little White Dragon nodded with difficulty and grinned. Thank you for coming to visit Fairy. Hearing this, Fairy Jing's heart hurt even more. She felt that Xiaohua was mocking her. This? Fairy Jing said in a low voice, This is not what I expected. Nor is it what I want to see. It's fine. Wasn't it just that he couldn't move here? What can this shellfish do to me? Little White Dragon said indifferently, then spat into the air and shouted, Little shellfish, look at me. I'm just a copper pea. Hit. Boom. Just as Little White Dragon was cursing, the entire fire pillar suddenly emitted a loud roar. A ring of fire suddenly fell from the top of the fire pillar. However, just as it reached the middle of the fire pillar, a powerful wave of energy came crashing down in all directions. Fairy Jing turned pale with fright and hurriedly moved. Just as she fell into a cave, the ring of fire rushed through the cave, and a powerful wave of heat annihilated most of the water of the ocean pearl. Boom! Right before Fairy Jing's eyes, the ring of fire fell to the bottom of the fire pillar and smashed into Little White Dragon. The entire ground shook, and blood-red flames rushed out from the bottom of the fire pillar within a range of several hundred meters. Roar! Roar! It sounded like a scream, but it also sounded like a dragon's roar. Little White Dragon's voice made Fairy Jing's heart break. The pain was like her heart was being torn apart and sewn back together with needles. Boom, boom. A series of explosions rang out a total of 9 times. The hundreds of feet tall fire pillar crazily shot out 9 times like a purgatory. Whitey's miserable cries became louder and louder each time, rippling within the mountain peak and within the fire pillar. After half an hour, the ring of fire stopped, and the fire pillar gradually calmed down. Fairy Jing flew in front of Little White Dragon again. Oh, why haven't you left yet? Little White Dragon looked at Fairy Jing with a puzzled expression. Suddenly, he realized something and asked, Do you need something? Looking at Xiaohua's familiar face, Fairy Jing's heart began to churn. Fairy Jing had heartlessly left Heartbreak Mountain not because she was too rational, but because she felt inferior. It wasn't just because of her demon bloodline, but also because she was a puppet of the demon race. She felt that her status wasn't good enough for Xiaohua, and she didn't want to bring trouble to Xiaohua because of her status. But now what she worried about still happened. Little White Dragon was suppressed and tempered by the fire pillar, and Fairy Jing's heart was also roasted in the fire pillar. However, after being stabbed in the heart, Fairy Jing immediately put away her sorrow and made a decision. She sniffed and asked faintly, "Yes, I came on the king's orders to ask you where you saw the rainbow-colored conch in the jade eye." Bullshit. Little White Dragon naturally didn't know where Xiaohua saw the rainbow-colored conch. He only cursed, "I said it a few thousand times, I don't know." But Fairy Jing was terrifyingly calm. She asked in return, "The jade eye was given to me, and it also told me to send you a message if I saw something similar. Also, I couldn't let anyone else know. If you don't know, others might believe it, but I definitely won't." Ah? Little White Dragon was stunned. He didn't know how to answer. Fairy Jing didn't wait for him to answer. Instead, she continued, "When I obtained the jade eye, I was shocked because I was very familiar with the brilliance of the rainbow-colored conch. It was very similar to Bai Qingyu's 5-colored conch. However, I didn't have the king's permission, so I didn't dare to casually explain it to you. Therefore, after I obtained the jade eye, I returned to Bai Qingyu and reported this matter to the king. I wanted the king to make a decision." The expression on Little White Dragon's face was very interesting. This was Xiaohua's secret. He didn't want to interfere, but unfortunately, he was still dragged into the web of love in Fairy Jing's heart. He didn't know how to respond. Should he curse Fairy Jing? Should he curse her? Or should he comfort Fairy Jing? At this moment, a pleasant voice that sounded like a kingfisher interrupted Fairy Jing's words. It came from above the pillar of fire. "Damned bitch." Fairy Jing was stunned. She quickly looked up and saw a 5-colored demonic cloud carrying an extremely beautiful and graceful woman. That woman's eyebrows were slanted and her almond-shaped eyes were wide open. She stared at Fairy Jing as if she was looking at an enemy. She didn't even wait for her to come close before cursing. "If it wasn't for you, how could Xiaohua be suppressed here? You actually have the face to interrogate me? Look at your withered appearance. You still dare to act pitiful here? If I were Xiaohua, I would definitely drown you with my spit." "Who are you?" Fairy Jing's scar had been exposed, so she was extremely angry. She glared and coldly asked, "Who are you?" "Woo." That woman sneered. She didn't seem to take any action, but a rumbling sound came from her body. Her origin sense was mixed with a kind of power, and it pressed down on Fairy Jing like a mountain flood. Ah! Fairy Jing sensed the power of this power and was shocked. She didn't dare to be careless and quickly patted her head. Woo! She released the pressure of a nascent soul cultivator, wanting to resist. Boom! A loud sound came from the empty mountain peak. Fairy Jing's figure was sent flying like an autumn leaf. When she landed, the blood on her face suddenly surged and then retreated. Her face was deathly pale. 6th grade origin force. Fairy Jing's eyes were filled with shock. She was clear that this woman's pressure was immediately withdrawn when it touched her. It wasn't too forceful. However, with just a touch, Fairy Jing's qi and blood had already surged and her true essence had gone astray. This woman was at least a 6th grade star-plucking realm cultivator. Humph, you're only a 4th grade descendant. You dare to be arrogant in front of me. That woman was very arrogant. Seeing Fairy Jing's shock and pale face, she berated, "Why aren't you scramming?" Fairy Jing clenched her teeth. Although she didn't know this woman was able to enter the Sky Dam water prison and even reach the bottom of the fire pillar. She was naturally an important demon to Bai Qingyu. Fairy Jing didn't dare to talk back to this woman, but she wasn't willing to lower her head to this woman in front of Xiaohua. She squinted her eyes and said, "This concubine is under the king's order to ask. Since Xiaohua isn't willing to speak now, this concubine will come again in the future. Xiaohua, the king said that as long as you tell him where you saw this rainbow conch, he will immediately release you and reward you greatly." Little White Dragon bitterly smiled. He was willing to speak, but he really didn't know where he saw this rainbow conch. Seeing little white dragon not speaking, Fairy Jing's heart ached even more. She didn't even look back as she flew towards the top of the fire pillar. When she arrived at the exit of the mountain peak, the water snake was still waiting there. Seeing Fairy Jing come out, the water snake didn't ask about the result, and turned to bring Fairy Jing back to the Demon King's cave. Fairy Jing bit her lips and said, "Wait. Oh, is there anything else?" The water snake asked curiously. "If there's nothing important, it's better to turn back. The king is still waiting for a reply in the cave." Chapter 43:53. I didn't get anything out of him. If I go back and report this to the king, I'm afraid I'll be scolded. Fairy Jing lowered her eyebrows and timidly replied, "Leave the king's order here and report back to the Demon King's cave. I'll go down in a few days and ask again. What do you think?" The water snake only pondered for a moment before handing the 5-colored beast skin to Fairy Jing. It nodded and said, "That's good. The king has been troubled by this matter. If Fairy Jing can get something out of him, not to mention once or twice, even 10 times would be a great merit." Fairy Jing nodded absent-mindedly and took the beast's skin. She flew to the left side of the mountain. The water snake didn't suspect anything and returned to the Demon King's cave to report. At the bottom of the Heavenly Dam water prison, the woman saw that Fairy Jing had lost all face and left in a sorry state. She let out a cold snort and said, "You're only a human, yet you dare to steal my lover." After saying that, the woman landed in front of Little White Dragon. She looked at Little White Dragon and said coldly, "What? Do you feel bad? When did you get this old lover? She caused you to be like this and you still treat her like this? You can't even bear to say a harsh word to her?" "Humph, none of your business." The Little White Dragon let out a cold snort and ignored the woman. "Oh, you." When the woman saw that the Little White Dragon was angry, she immediately turned into water and jumped before the Little White Dragon. She coquettishly said, "When you were looking at the moon with me, you called me little sweetie. Now that the new person has surpassed the old, you're actually ignoring me." "Bullshit." The Little White Dragon looked up and cursed, "When will you see the moon here? How could I call you little sweetie? So you want to see the moon? That's great. I've always wanted you to accompany me." The woman was pleasantly surprised. She raised her hand and took out a 5-colored flag. When she waved the flag, the stone wall at the mountain peak immediately disappeared. However, it was noon outside the mountain peak, so where did the moon come from? The woman was a bit busy and quickly said, "Don't rush, don't rush." Although she told him not to rush, her actions didn't seem to be in a rush at all. He hurriedly waved the flag and restored the mountain wall to its original state. Then he opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of green light. The green light rushed into the sky and turned into a green full moon. The faint brilliance of the moon sprinkled down like moonlight, brightly illuminating the blood-red flames. The Little White Dragon soldier was unmoved. It looked at Yu Hua indifferently and said coldly, "What do you mean by this? Are you trying to show off in front of me?" "Io Xiaolang, how would I dare?" The woman was shocked. She quickly opened her mouth and swallowed the green light. She said, "Wait a little longer. It will be night in a few hours." At this point, a strange expression appeared on the woman's face, as if she was about to cry. "What?" Little White Dragon chided. "If you don't let me see the moonlight, darling Xiao." The woman was on the verge of tears. "Today seems to be the 3rd day of the lunar month. There's no moon." "Humph." Little White Dragon didn't say anything. It only snorted coldly. However, this sound was like thunder in the woman's ears. She hurriedly said, "Darling Xiao, it's all my fault. Don't be angry with me. Actually, I just casually taught her a lesson. I didn't mean to hurt her and I'm not jealous. I just think that she's too much. If it weren't for her, how could you have been suppressed here for 143 years and 42 days? Hearing the woman's precise description of the date, a smile appeared on Little White Dragon's face. It replied, "If I wasn't suppressed here, how could I have met you?" That's true. When the woman saw Little White Dragon smile, she was happier than anything else. She hurriedly flew up from the ground. Her entire body spun a few times in the air as if she was showing off. "Darling Xiao, take a look. Don't you like human forms? The human form I transformed into today. Do you like it? There's no need to look. Little White Dragon blurted out. You're the most beautiful in the world. It doesn't matter if you transform or not. I like it. Darling Xiao. That woman was really drunk. With a moan, she threw herself at the side of Little White Dragon's head. Strangely, when the woman's body leaned against the pillar of fire, the demon runes on the surface of the pillar of fire could not stop her. The woman's body disappeared into the pillar of fire. Then the entire fire pillar shone with demonic light, enveloping an area of several thousand feet. Several days later, a timid voice came from the demonic light. Yaoji, the king has ordered you to kowtow in the demon king's cave. On the demonic light, the conch woman, who had been wary of Fairy Jing, stood respectfully on the demonic cloud. She lowered her head, not daring to look at the demonic light. She only whispered to Fairy Jing. Damn it! The voice of the woman hidden in the pillar of fire was very pleasant to the ears, but it was also somewhat angry. Call me princess. Didn't you hear darling Xiao calling me princess? Yes, yes, your highness. The conch woman trembled and hurriedly changed the way she addressed her. This servant deserves to die. Please forgive me, your highness. The king has ordered for your highness to go to the demon king's cave. Damn it. The princess was still cursing, but there was a hint of laziness in her voice. When the demonic light flickered, an extremely graceful figure appeared in the fire pillar. The curves of this delicate body were indescribably seductive, especially at her abdomen, where there was a bulge. Strangely, the woman's skin flashed with a seductive five-colored halo, and the oval on her abdomen had a different color. Little White Dragon didn't miss the opportunity to snort. The woman was startled, and a five-colored halo flashed. A gorgeous set of clothes instantly appeared and tightly wrapped around her body. Darling Xiao, don't be angry. The woman begged in a low voice. I'm not too familiar with this human's body. Wear more clothes in the future. Don't let everyone see everything. Little White Dragon shouted in an imposing manner. The woman replied in a delicate voice, Yes, darling Xiao. Hurry up and scram. Little White Dragon roared again. The woman wasn't ashamed of Little White Dragon's scolding. Instead, she smiled sweetly and kissed Little White Dragon's cheek before flying into the air. Looking at the conch girl, she asked coldly, Who sent the message? It's that bitch from a few days ago. The conch girl said indignantly. She must have said something to the king, and that's why the king summoned Princess Yao for questioning. She doesn't want to live anymore. The woman was furious. How dare she ruin my plans? I'm going to skin her, pull out her tendons, and let her know how powerful I am. As she spoke, the woman's body flashed with five-colored demonic light, and she flew toward the mountain's exit. Io princess, wait for me. Although the conch girl called out, she didn't fly high. Instead, she strangely turned her head and looked at Little White Dragon. She winked mischievously at Little White Dragon, as if she was proud of herself for sowing discord. Little White Dragon raised its head with a lazy smile on its face, but its brows were filled with disdain. When she heard the Little White Dragon's cold snort, the woman, who had already turned her head to look at the Little White Dragon, suddenly stopped. The woman raised her head to look at the sky, after which she clenched her teeth and suddenly flew in front of the Little White Dragon. She fiercely kissed the Little White Dragon's face and cried out through gritted teeth, Xiao Lang, you missed me so much. After saying this, the conch girl didn't dare to stay for long. She hurriedly flew into the sky and reluctantly looked at Little White Dragon before she flew out of the cave. Since ancient times, excessive love has left behind only regret. This regret will never end. Little White Dragon's melancholy voice rang out from under the fire pillar. Heavens, forgive me for my unruly love. Just as Little White Dragon finished speaking, boom, there was a huge roar above the fire pillar. Another ring of fire was born from the peak of the mountain, and it fell down with a huge force. Roar! Little White Dragon howled in grief as a sea of fire appeared. Which Confucian cultivator said that? Pain always comes after pleasure. Damn it, it's too true. The Little White Dragon's sorrowful wails and recitation naturally could not reach the exit of the mountain. However, a figure stood at the exit, watching the endless rings of fire descend. His eyes were already filled with tears, and an indescribable sense of remorse appeared between his brows. When the ring of fire disappeared, This figure immediately took out a 5-colored beast skin and rushed to the bottom of the fire pillar without hesitation. This figure was Xiaohua's acquaintance, but Little White Dragon didn't know who Fairy Jing was. Outside of the swamp where the Demon King's cave was located, the sky was covered with red clouds. Thin strands of lightning were faintly discernible between the clouds. The muffled sound of thunder was covered by the loud whistling sound of the wind. The wind became stronger and stronger, blowing away the withered grass and breaking the trees. Even the gravel was blown into the air. It was truly a scene of flying sand and rolling stones. The clouds were low and lightning flashed. Crackle. Raindrops mixed with hail began to wreak havoc between heaven and earth. An eagle's cry came from the horizon. The red clouds that covered the horizon suddenly rolled. A golden-winged great pung that was several hundred meters in size spread its flashing lightning wings and revealed its figure in the clouds. This golden-winged great pung flapped its wings and a hurricane suddenly appeared. The dense red clouds were immediately blown away by the hurricane and a passage several li in size appeared in the clouds. Rumble. Several bolts of lightning fell and hit the back of the golden-winged great pung. Boom. Hundreds of demon characters rushed out from the back of the golden-winged great pung. They flickered with golden light and turned into a faint bird shape to block the lightning. Then, the lightning turned into threads of lightning that fell between the golden-winged great pung's wings. Woo! The golden-winged great pung flapped its wings again and crossed several li in an instant. Chapter 43-54. Haha. Brother Peng's ability is indeed powerful. I'm not as good as you. After the golden-winged great rock leaped over the wind and lightning, a slightly hoarse voice rang out from within the gradually gathering red clouds, following which a strange whirlwind appeared. This whirlwind was as heavy as a mountain. Although it did not blow a path through the red clouds like the golden-winged great rock, it was still able to sweep away all the red clouds within a radius of several kilometers. Within the whirlwind, a strange demonic beast revealed itself. This demonic beast looked like a dragon, but it was much smaller than a real dragon. It was even a little short and fat. On the demonic beast's back was a pair of wings that did not belong to the dragon race. Below the wings was a particularly protruding abdomen. However, on the demonic beast's head was a single horn that was extremely similar to a dragon's. In the lightning, it gave off an indescribable halo. Haha, we are the golden-winged great pung. Wind and thunder are innate remarkable abilities. How can we compare to a flying feather void beast like you? Whether it's wind, thunder, or earth fire, we can calmly escape through them. The golden-winged great pung's loud laughter sounded. Although it was humble, its tone was not without pride. Heh! The flying feather void beast smiled. Its short and fat body trembled slightly, and the wings on its back flashed. Strange ripples suddenly appeared in the space within the whirlwind. These ripples landed on the flying feather void beast's body, and the flying feather void beast instantly disappeared. A light mark like a wing flashed faintly through the red clouds, and it quickly surpassed the golden-winged great pung. Damn it! The golden-winged great pung yelled. I didn't plan to compete with you. What's the point of surpassing me? As he spoke, the golden-winged great pung flapped its wings again and chased forward amidst the lightning and wind. The two demonic beasts seemed to be even faster than the wind and thunder. In less than half a meal's time, they had already surpassed the area covered by the wind and thunder. A golden light flashed in the golden-winged great pung's eyes as it looked towards the ground. Then a powerful origin thought swept towards a swamp like a mountain. Boom! Just as the golden-winged great pung's origin thought swept across the swamp, a pillar of light shot up into the sky. When the pillar of light landed in front of the golden-winged great pung's head, Bai Qingyu's body flashed with a 5-colored halo as she appeared within the pillar of light. Brother Peng, brother Demon King Bai Qingyu's shellfish, which was hundreds of meters long. A strange voice came from within the shellfish. Peng 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 Great Peng's Peng. As soon as Demon King Bai Qingyu's voice fell, a layer of spatial ripples appeared above his head. Bai Qingyu didn't dare to delay and hurriedly moved aside. The flying feather Nikong beast's figure appeared amidst the spatial distortion. Its wings were still flapping slightly. Haha, Bai Qing. The flying feather Nikong beast laughed and said, the two of us had already set off. However, we received a message from Peng Sage. It seemed to be related to the 7th Great Sage, so I followed Peng Jun back to Veiling Sky Ridge. Oh? Bai Qingyu was startled and hurriedly asked, "And Quan, who is the seventh great sage of our demonic beasts?" The flying feather Nikong beast's expression didn't change. He raised his hand and pointed at the golden-winged great Peng who had stopped behind him. "You'll have to ask Peng Jun about that." When the golden-winged great Peng Jun saw that the flying feather Nikong beast had surpassed him, a trace of displeasure appeared on his face. When he saw an Quan pointing at him, he said coldly, "My ancestor didn't say who it was. How do you want me to tell you?" Haha. Bai Qing smiled and said, "This isn't the place to talk. Two demonic brothers, please come to my Demon King cave for a chat." "Please." Quan smiled and glanced at Peng Jun. After a moment of politeness, he followed Bai Qing and descended. The three demonic beasts entered the Demon King cave and took their seats. The water tribe served a banquet. Before the banquet started, Peng Jun looked around and asked curiously, "Brother Bai, where's your brother? Why didn't he come out? Could it be that he was defeated by me last time and doesn't dare to come see me? Who knows where he went?" Bai Qing glanced at Peng Jun unhappily. "After being defeated by you last time, he didn't return to Bai Qingyu. It seems that he heard that one of his descendants got into trouble, so he went to take a look. It's either the hidden immortal continent or the Western paradise." "Haha, he's really bold." Peng Jun smiled and didn't ask anymore. Then the three raised their cups and drank. After chatting for a while, Bai Qing looked at Peng Jun again and said with a smile, "Brother Peng, I wonder what message Peng Sage sent you? Can you tell me?" Peng Jun looked up and asked Bai Qing with a faint smile, "Could it be that Bai Sage didn't send any news about the seventh great sage to Bai Qingyu?" Bai Qing sighed and put down his wine cup. He said, "How could Bai Sage send a message directly to me? The message I received was from the Star Obscuring Lake. Although there's a lot of news from the Star Obscuring Lake, who exactly is the seventh great sage and where in the thousand demonic sacred realm did he become a great sage? Until now, the Star Obscuring Lake still hasn't given a definite answer. I think my old ancestor is also confused. If Bai Sage is like this, then why isn't my old ancestor?" Peng Jun smiled and said, "The news I received actually came from Songyue Heaven. It wasn't personally sent by Peng Sage. It's just that brother and I happened to see it, so he made a big fuss about it. Brother Peng, don't blame me for talking too much." Quan hurriedly explained, "After all, the seventh great sage's appearance is too strange. From the news from the Xian Space Forest to my ancient Bell Mountain, it can be seen that his ascension to a great sage is much stronger than my old ancestors. That momentum is comparable to our demon race's first great sage, Peng Sage. Therefore, I think your Songyue Heaven might have received more information." Peng Jun pondered for a moment and said, "Actually, the news from Songyue Heaven this time is also a guess about the seventh great sage's strength." "What do you mean?" Bai Qingyu and ancient Bell Mountain were shocked and stared at the demon monarch of Songyue Mountain. "My old ancestor and the other 5 great sages have already gathered in the Great Sage Hall." Peng Jun smiled bitterly. "It's said that there's already a phenomenon that has never appeared in the Great Sage Hall. This phenomenon shows that the 7th Great Sage's strength not only surpasses Peng Sage's, but also surpasses all the great sages in the 1,000 demonic sacred realm." "Ancient sages?" Bai Qing and Quan couldn't help but exclaim. "That's right. Ancient sages in the past, and it's even possible that there won't be any sages in the future." Peng Jun nodded and looked at the flying feather void beast. He said snappily, "This is the reason why I lost my composure when I saw the beast's skin. Presumably, it won't be long before the two of you receive the news from the Xian Space Forest and the Obscuring Star Lake." "Damn it, how is that possible?" Bai Qing looked at Quan and then at Peng Jun. She lowered her voice and exclaimed, "Although we only control a corner of the demon realm, the 6 great sages have investigated the entire demon realm. How did a great sage appear? They don't know anything about it? What's so strange about that?" Peng Jun said disapprovingly, "The hidden immortal continent is the world of Confucian cultivators, and the immortal palace has investigated the 9 prefectures. However, didn't the Tao sect have a primordial chaos ancestor? If not for the Buddhist and Confucian cultivators working together and even borrowing the power of our demon race, how could they suppress him? Even if they did, didn't the primordial chaos ancestor escape and harm the Confucian cultivators? Forget it. Forget it. Bai Qing laughed and raised his wine cup. The seventh great sage's matter is related to the great sage hall. It's the great sage's effort and has nothing to do with us. When there's news, we'll naturally know. Come, come, two demon brothers, please. Drink, drink. Peng Jun also smiled and raised his cup. We'd better worry about our own matters and help the great sages take care of the trivial matters. Please. The three demon kings drank again, and then the women of the water tribe came to dance. After half an hour, Bai Qing waved his hand and the attendants left. He opened his mouth again and said, "Two demon brothers, this time I invited you two demon brothers to discuss the banquet." Banquet? And I Quan looked at the other two demon kings and said with a smile, "It's a good banquet. Does Brother Bai have other ideas?" Bai Qing hurriedly explained, "Banquet is such a brilliant idea. It's completely Brother Ni's idea. I can't think of any good arrangement even if I break my head. However, since it's a banquet, there must be a time when the song ends and people disperse. I want to discuss with you two demon brothers how to deal with Xiao Hua." "Oh." Peng Jun raised his eyebrows and a strange light flashed in his golden eyes. He said curiously, "I don't understand. What does Brother Bai mean?" And I Quan smiled and said, "Brother Bai is quite interesting. The banquet hasn't even started yet, but Brother Bai isn't discussing how to harvest the banquet with us. Instead, he's talking about the bait's ending. This really puzzles me." "There's nothing strange about this." Bai Qing smiled faintly and said, "It should be related to the three demon kings' ideas. It should be related to what we want from Xiao Hua." Hearing this, I Quan smiled and looked at Bai Qing. He asked, "Since Brother Bai mentioned your idea and purpose, I also want to ask something. Back then, when Xiao Hua came to my ancient Bell Mountain, he was a good friend of a human descendant of my ancient Bell Mountain. He seemed to have nothing to do with my demon race. I don't know why Brother Bai suddenly set a trap for me after hearing the name of this human. You used an ordinary demon weapon to exchange for my sleeve. Only then did you capture Xiao Hua and bring him to Bai Qingyu to be suppressed. Of course, I was very puzzled after that. I started to look for news of Xiao Hua everywhere. Only then did I find out that Xiao Hua was actually the Dragon Master conferred by the Dragon Island. Damn it, I was stunned at that time. When did you, Bai Qingyu, become so daring? You actually went against the Dragon Island? This question. I've been suppressing it in my heart for hundreds of years. I didn't dare to say it out loud. It seems like today is the time to reveal it." Chapter 43-55. Hearing this, Bai Qing sneered in his heart. How could he not know what I Quan was thinking? He even felt that before he made a move to capture Xiao Hua, I Quan should have already known that Xiao Hua was the Dragon Island's Dragon Master. However, I Quan also wanted to obtain some benefits from Xiao Hua, so he pretended not to know. If the Dragon Island came to denounce him, he would use his ignorance as an excuse to evade responsibility. If I Quan could say so, how could Bai Qing not? He replied with a sad face, "This old man also didn't know at that time. It wasn't until Xiao Hua was suppressed in the Heavenly Dam water prison that this old man got the news. At that time, this old man was already in a difficult position. So when the two demon brothers came to discuss with this old man again, this old man agreed without hesitation. Even if the two demon brothers wanted to gain benefits from Xiao Hua, this old man didn't even think of asking." I Quan laughed. "What this old man wants to do. Although I didn't tell you clearly, I don't believe that you don't understand after more than 100 years. Whether this old man understands or not, that's my business." Bai Qing shook his head. "What exactly do you want to do? I still need you to say it yourself." "I think it's time for Ancient Bell Mountain, Bai Qingyu, and Concealed Sky Ridge to be frank and honest, right?" Peng Jun had been silent all this time. At this moment, he suddenly opened his mouth. "Brother Bai, how do you plan to deal with Xiao Hua after the banquet? Kill him?" I Quan asked with interest. "No." Bai Qing shook his head slightly. "My ancestor said it herself." "Ancestor said it?" Peng Jun was shocked and said anxiously, "How does she know about this? This old man doesn't know." Bai Qing shook his head slightly. His face was also puzzled, and replied, My ancestor wants to search his soul personally. Peng Jun heard and unconsciously took a breath, his face showing a difficult expression. Two demon brothers. Bai Qing saw that Peng Jun was in a difficult position and understood what he was thinking. She said, actually, I wanted to search your soul several decades ago. However, because Bai Qingyu made an agreement with the two demon brothers, and the two demon brothers, especially brother Peng, abided by the agreement when they came to ask for information, I didn't want to break the agreement. This time, I'm discussing the banquet with brother Peng because of my ancestor's words. I want to make a final effort for you two demon brothers. Sigh, this old man understands, Peng Jun said with a sigh. Many thanks, brother Bai. Let's do as brother Bai says. Since the old ancestor has spoken, this old man will have to answer to Tsang Yutian when I return. All right. Seeing that Peng Jun had agreed, Bai Qing heaved a sigh of relief and looked at An Quan. What about brother and I? I don't care. An Quan said with a smile, this old man just thinks highly of Xiaohua's power in the hidden immortal mainland. I want to support him to be the representative of ancient Bell Mountain. You also know that my ancient Bell Mountain is not like Bai Qingyu and concealed Sky Ridge. We don't control much power in the hidden immortal mainland. This Xiaohua is a Dao sect cultivator, and he happens to be on good terms with a human descendant of my ancient Bell Mountain. If we use him, we can save a lot of energy. I even heard from my human descendant that this guy's strength may be comparable to Grand Mist Ancestor in the future. That's why this old man made a previous agreement with you. If you don't need Xiaohua, then search his soul. Even if you kill him, it doesn't matter. My human descendant already has a way to deal with this. Bai Qingyu glanced at An Quan and said with a smile, your ancient Bell Mountain really has a good idea. This Xiaohua does have some foundation in the hidden immortal mainland. Since the news of the banquet spread out, more than 10 groups of Dao sect cultivators have come to find and rescue Xiaohua. After the banquet, this old man will hand over those Dao sect cultivators to your human descendant. Many thanks, brother Bai. An Quan smiled and raised his cup. After the three monster kings drank a few more cups, Peng Jun said meaningfully, oh right, brother Bai, in these years, could it be that Dragon Island or the Dragon Race didn't come to investigate? Yes. Bai Qingyu sighed. Xiaohua is the Dragon Master of the Dragon Race. Not only did the Dragon Island not send any Dragon Race to the Dragon Palace of the Four Seas, this is the reason why this old man has been nervous. This old man didn't dare to relax for hundreds of years. Isn't it because I'm afraid of the Dragon Race's revenge? Peng Jun sneered in his heart. How could he believe Bai Qingyu's complaints? He then probed, although Xiaohua is a human cultivator, his strength is not particularly high, but since Dragon Island conferred him the title of Dragon Master. What? Hearing this, Bai Qingyu was shocked and hurriedly interrupted Peng Jun's words. He said curiously, brother Peng, say it again. You said Xiaohua is a human cultivator? Yes. Peng Jun said curiously. Xiaohua is naturally a human cultivator. You think he's a dragon? But? Bai Qingyu was puzzled and was about to speak when An Quan also said with a smile, brother Bai, of course Xiaohua is a human cultivator. Otherwise, why would he participate in the Immortal Palace's Jade Pavilion gathering, and make friends with a human descendant of our ancient Bell Mountain? Damn it! Bai Qingyu almost jumped up and said in shock, could it be that we made a mistake? How could it be a mistake? Peng Jun's heart also moved, but his expression was still calm. He said with a smile, brother Bai, do you still remember the demonic artifact this old man took the first time? Bai Qingyu originally wanted to explain, but after hearing Peng Jun's words, he swallowed his words and said doubtfully, of course this old man remembers. You even activated the demonic artifact in front of this old man and interrogated Xiaohua. Actually, Peng Jun said with a smile, that demonic artifact is not a demonic artifact, but a soul artifact. This old man didn't interrogate Xiaohua the first time. This old man was just activating the soul artifact to confirm whether this Xiaohua is the real Xiaohua. You're sure? Bai Qingyu was dumbfounded. Xiaohua is the human Xiaohua you're looking for. Yes, his soul is Xiaohua's soul. Peng Jun replied resolutely, this old man can guarantee. But as for how this old man knows, forgive this old man for not being able to say. What the hell? Bai Qingyu was greatly surprised. How is this possible? Could it be that you and I, the three monster kings? At this moment, a clear voice sounded outside the monster king's cave. Father, following this voice, a shell-type monster with a 5-colored halo around her body flew in. That monster called out before she came in, Father. What's the matter that you're urgently looking for your daughter? I just in time. Bai Qingyu saw the shell-type monster come in and said loudly, Bai Bo, come over and tell the two monster kings whether that Xiaohua is a human or a dragon. This concubine greets the two monster kings. The halo around the shell-type monster named Bai Bo flashed a few times, and then she bowed respectfully. Get up. And I Quan was the least anxious. With a wave of his hand, he helped Bai Bo up and said with a smile, Brother Bai is so lucky. Your Bai Qingyu's Yao Ji has only not seen you for a few decades, and your strength has increased by a lot. I'm afraid you're about to reach the sun-devouring realm, right? Your Majesty praises me too much. Bai Bo said with a smile, this concubine is only at the star-plucking realm. There's still a long way to go before I reach the sun-devouring realm. This is my Tsongyue Heaven's monster core. It's most useful for the star-plucking realm water clan. Just keep it. Peng Jun was somewhat impatient. He raised his hand and took out a pill from the universe ring and handed it to Bai Bo, saying, Tell this king whether that Xiaohua is a human or a dragon. Thank you, Your Majesty. Jade Wave happily accepted the medicinal pill, then swept a glance at his father and said, Xiaohua is originally from the dragon race. How can he be a human? How is this possible? Not only did Peng Jun roar, even Enai Quan turned pale with fright. He looked at Bai Qing and shouted, Brother Bai, how is this possible? Could it be that we three monster kings have schemed for hundreds of years, but in the end we still can't figure out whether Xiaohua is a human or a dragon? Whether Xiaohua is a human or a dragon? It doesn't matter at all. Bai Bo was very puzzled. What this old man wants has nothing to do with whether he's a human or a dragon. Moreover, since Xiaohua is Dragon Island's dragon master, he's naturally a dragon. What's so strange about this? AI wrong. Enai Quan waved his hand and said, Xiaohua is a Dao sect cultivator. He participated in the Jade Pavilion gathering, and even proclaimed himself as a king in Black Wind Ridge. He was once a country's teacher. How can he be a dragon? At this point, Enai Quan seemed to have some understanding. He pinched his chin and said with a smile, This old man understands. This might be Dragon Island's trick, but it doesn't matter. Whether Xiaohua is a dragon or a human has nothing to do with my ancient Bell Mountain. Xiaohua can't be a dragon. He can only be a human. Peng Jun stood up from the ground and spread his wings. This has a lot to do with this old man. Bai Bo, Bai Qing said with a smile, You're in charge of the Sky Dam water prison. Tell me, is Xiaohua a human or a dragon? Xiaohua is naturally a dragon. Bai Bo said with a smile, Father, is it because of this that you hurriedly called your daughter over from the Sky Dam water prison? When did this old man call you over? Bai Qing was stunned and asked back. Damn bitch. Bai Bo immediately realized and cursed. She actually dared to scheme against me. Who? Bai Qing asked curiously. It's that human descendant who took father's monster king token and went to interrogate Xiaohua. Bai Bo said while gnashing her teeth. Li Jing? Why is she? Bai Qing said curiously. Before Bai Qing finished speaking, another exclamation came from outside the Monster King cave. King Yaoji, not good. Something big happened in the Sky Dam water prison. Not good. Hearing that something big happened in the Sky Dam water prison, Bai Bo didn't wait for the water clan outside to finish speaking. She turned into a 5-colored rainbow and flew out of the cave. Bai Bo was naturally worried about her lover. Bai Qing, Peng Jun and Enai Quan, the three monster kings were even more anxious than her. Seeing that Bai Bo had just left, the three monster kings activated their abilities and instantly overtook Bai Bo, and rushed towards the Sky Dam water prison. Chapter 4356. Fairy Jing took the 5-colored beast skin and flew into the Heavenly Dam water prison. Her heart was beating wildly, and she silently recited the speech she had prepared beforehand to deal with the patrolling beasts that appeared at any time. However, what surprised her was that when she landed at the bottom of the fire pillar, The back of Xiaohua's head was faintly visible in the flames. Not to mention that shelled beasts, even the other patrolling beasts were nowhere to be seen. Fairy Jing naturally didn't know that it was Jadewave's appearance that made these beasts flee in panic. When she faked the Demon King command, those fleeing beasts still hadn't returned. While she was secretly delighted, she landed in front of Little White Dragon. Little White Dragon had just been burned by the 5-colored flames of the fire pillar, and was currently powerless. He didn't raise his head at all, thinking that Conch Girl or Jadewave had returned. He mercilessly roared, "Scram! I'm not in a good mood right now." Fairy Jing's peach blossom-like face paled. She whispered, "Xiaohua." Little White Dragon was stunned. He slowly raised his head, looked at Fairy Jing, and asked curiously, "So it's you. Why did you come back?" Little White Dragon immediately came to his senses and replied with a wry smile, "Although I gave you that jade eye, I have never seen that thing before. Because it's used to refine magic treasures, I had you look for it. Even if you personally came to ask me, I wouldn't know about that thing. Xiaohua, do you still resent me?" Fairy Jing didn't pay attention to Little White Dragon's explanation. She only stared blankly at Xiaohua's familiar face and asked word by word, "No, absolutely not. How could Little White Dragon find trouble for Xiaohua?" He replied without hesitation, Then why did you?" Fairy Jing still asked with hidden bitterness. Little White Dragon was now an old dragon that could move unhindered among flowers. Under Jadewave's torment, he already had a silent response to this question. He hastily replied, "I didn't ignore you. It's not like I don't know you. Why don't you think about it? Where is this place? Can I rashly say that I know you? Can't I protect you?" When Fairy Jing heard this, she couldn't help but smile. This smile was truly like 100 flowers blooming. Even the resplendent sparks in the surroundings couldn't compare. To be able to hear those words from my dear Xiao before leaving this filthy world, this concubine is already perfectly satisfied. Although Fairy Jing's tone was exceptionally calm, her gaze was fixed on Xiaohua as she muttered to herself, "This concubine has lived in this world for so long. Apart from Xiaohua, this concubine has never met another person as pure as Xiaohua, who is as pure as crystal." That day, it wasn't that this concubine was unwilling to accompany Xiao Lang, but this concubine wasn't worthy of Xiao Lang, and this concubine was afraid of bringing trouble to Xiao Lang. What this concubine didn't know was that this concubine had brought so much trouble to Xiao Lang. This is all this concubine's fault. This concubine is willing to make up for this mistake. I only hope that Xiao Lang can forgive this concubine. With that, Fairy Jing stretched out her hand and touched the back of Little White Dragon's head. Her cherry-red lips touched Little White Dragon's cheek. "Damn it!" Little White Dragon was dumbfounded. He hurriedly retreated and shouted, Don't, I'm not." Fairy Jing's face turned even paler when she saw Little White Dragon running away. She bit her lip and said, "Darling Xiao, I know you won't forgive me, but although this concubine didn't do it on purpose, it's still the biggest mistake this concubine has made in her life. Moreover, this concubine is very regretful right now. This concubine shouldn't have drunk that unruffled water. Let me ask you, what is love in this world? It makes people want to live and die for it. How can a love that doesn't even care about life and death be washed away by a handful of water? If it wasn't for that unruffled water, this concubine would have been able to think of you day and night for the past 200 years. That would have been such a beautiful thing." That Little White Dragon opened his mouth and wanted to transmit his voice. However, he was suppressed by the pillar of fire and couldn't use his dragon power. He could only shout, "I'm really not Xiaohua. The real Xiaohua is your lover. I don't know where he is. You still won't forgive me." Fairy Jing's face was ashen. She stared blankly at Little White Dragon's familiar face and said, "Although this concubine has already drunk the unruffled water, your voice and smile have already been imprinted in this concubine's heart. Seeing your face, this concubine's heart is beating wildly." "Damn it!" Little White Dragon anxiously said, "I'm imprisoned by the Demon King's pillar of fire and can't return to my original appearance. No need to say any more." Fairy Jing said faintly, "Xiao Lang, whether you forgive me or not is no longer important." While speaking, Fairy Jing opened her mouth. Pooh! The heart shell fell into the air. The moment it appeared, it immediately emitted a 5-colored halo. This light was like Fairy Jing's heart that was crying blood. It flickered and condensed into 5 colored dots that fell from the heart shell. Pooh! Fairy Jing didn't stop at all. She opened her mouth again, but this time she spat out a mouthful of essence blood. When the essence blood landed on the heart shell, the 5-colored halo of the heart shell suddenly retracted. A blood-colored heart shell emitted a blood-colored brilliance in the air. What are you doing? Little White Dragon didn't understand. Fairy Jing ignored Little White Dragon and raised her hand again. Wang! A nascent soul wearing soft armor rushed out of the door with an even smaller sea pearl in his hand. Wang Wang! The blood-colored heart shell emitted a huge rumbling sound before finally exploding with a bang. When the blood-colored heart shell exploded, Fairy Jing couldn't help but moan. Even Little White Dragon's heart was broken. Woo! After the blood-colored heart shell exploded, Fairy Jing's nascent soul opened its mouth and sucked in all the blood mist. Boom boom! Thunderous sounds flashed around the nascent soul. The strange runes on the heart shell appeared one by one. However, the runes weren't 5-colored, but blood-colored. The nascent soul crazily expanded in the blood-colored light and the thunderous sounds. In an instant it was more than 10 feet tall. Xiao Lang! Fairy Jing suddenly cried out, "This time we will be separated by life and death. Even if I have thousands of thoughts, they will all turn into a flower in the yellow springs. I will have no one to complain to, damn it." Seeing the nascent soul emitting obscure waves, Little White Dragon suddenly realized and said in surprise, "You want to break the seal? You are really too whimsical. Even Jade Wave doesn't dare to break this seal. You think you can break it? You are throwing away your life for nothing. Xiao Lang, this is all I can do. Goodbye." Fairy Jing's eyes were filled with tears as she said sadly, "I finally understand the thoughts of the sister in your story. I only want to reincarnate and not be a descendant of the demon race. I only want to be a clean person. Even if I don't have any cultivation, I only want to live a quiet life." Roar! Little White Dragon angrily roared. His entire dragon body powerlessly struggled within the pillar of fire, but the flames within the pillar of fire didn't even move. Little White Dragon shouted, "Idiot, don't do anything stupid. I'm really not Xiaohua, I'm Xiaohua's good friend, my name is Little White. Really. Unfortunately, at this time, not to mention Little White Dragon couldn't restore his dragon body. Even if he did, how could Fairy Jing still believe him? Sometimes when the fake is real, the real is fake. Pooh! Fairy Jing took one last look at Little White Dragon's face, her eyes filled with reluctance. Then she slapped her head. Blood splattered, and Fairy Jing's entire body collapsed. Following the collapse of her body, that several Zhonglong nascent soul fell with a loud rumble and merged with her flesh. "AI, damn it!" Little White Dragon powerlessly raised his head and muttered, "How should I explain this to Xiaohua?" Wang. After Fairy Jing's nascent soul merged with her flesh, her nascent soul released a powerful rumbling sound. Her pressure quickly broke through from the nascent soul realm to the out-of-body realm. Another infatuated, brainless woman. Little White Dragon looked at Fairy Jing's nascent soul and shouted, "Even if you give up your life, you are only at the edge of the 5th level. How can you break the seal with this kind of shallow strength? You should hurry and stop. Although you are only left with your nascent soul, you still have your life. With Xiaohua's ability, it's not impossible." Unfortunately, before Little White Dragon could finish speaking, the blood-red runes around the nascent soul burst open again. Fairy Jing's nascent soul spirit body collapsed, and the entire spirit body crashed into the ocean pearl that had been hovering above the nascent soul's head. Wang. When the nascent soul rushed into the ocean pearl released an even louder rumbling sound. Waves of dark green water rushed out from the ocean pearl and fell into the air. Beautiful scenes of the sea appeared in the light. There were waves of blue waves, or fishes leaping and birds flying, or thousands of layers of snow, or thousands of miles of sea. Previously it was still hot, but now it was instantly cool. Moreover, when the waves of water fell into the fire pillar, the fire runes and 5-colored halos on the fire pillar all retreated, and the fire pillar's trembling was still frozen. Gotcha! The moment the waves of water spread to the fire pillar, a blood-colored crack appeared on the ocean pearl. The entire ocean pearl shattered, and the blue water mixed with the blood runes turned into monstrous remorse and crazily crashed into the fire pillar. Boom! Inside the heavenly dam water prison, the entire fire pillar was trembling. It was as if the raging fire had succumbed to Fairy Jing's remorse. Wherever the blue water touched, a loud rumbling sound could be heard. The red fire pillar was frozen inch by inch. What was special was that at the bottom of the pillar of fire that was suppressing the little white dragon, the threads of blood dyed the entire pillar of fire. The threads of blood were mixed with a 5-colored halo, and they quickly seeped into the pillar of fire. The immovable restriction that was like a mountain suddenly showed signs of loosening. Roar! Little White Dragon was overjoyed and let out a roar. The dragon energy in its body suddenly surged. Boom boom! The fire pillar suppressing Little White Dragon was slowly lifted up by Little White Dragon. The entire heavenly dam water prison was trembling. Chapter 4357. Damn it! How could such a large commotion from the bottom of the fire pillar not attract the attention of the demon race? The armored demon appeared out of nowhere. Seeing the situation, he couldn't help but curse. His body quickly swayed and his armored demon body suddenly grew to several hundred feet in size. The shell demon didn't fly to the fire pillar. Instead, it went straight to the top of the mountain. Its entire body spun quickly. The 5-colored halo around its body shone brightly. It turned into a pillar of light that fell into the fire pillar. Whoop! Where the 5-colored halo landed, the fire pillar responded. All of the 5-colored runes flowed on the surface of the fire pillar and rushed down the fire pillar. As the runes rushed in, the flames and runes that had been frozen by Fairy Jing's sea pearl began to jump again. Break! The shelled demon had just calmed down when he heard a dragon voice coming from below the pillar of fire. Immediately after, countless strands of fire-type origin energy rushed down the mountain. A ball of golden light quickly appeared in the crimson and dark green light. Damn it! The demonic beast could feel the power of this golden light, and could not help but grumble bitterly. Just as it was about to activate its divine ability, boom! At this moment, the golden light suddenly exploded and the entire fire pillar started to collapse from the bottom. At the same time, the mountain peak of the Heaven Dam water prison started to shake violently. Humph! Just at this moment, a cold snort came from the distance. Following this sound, a 5-colored light pillar more than 100 feet large smashed into the fire pillar. Rumble! With a series of rumbles, the 5-colored halo fell from the surface of the fire pillar to the bottom. Wherever the halo passed, whether it was the green water, the blood strands, or even the golden light, all of them were destroyed as easily as crushing dry weeds. The entire fire pillar instantly stabilized. My king! The armored demon race was overjoyed as it fell to the ground and shouted, "This little one deserves to die, fuck!" Just as it was about to break free, the shackles that had just been broken through came crashing down again. The little white dragon sighed as its body was once again suppressed by the pillar of fire. However, just as it was about to be suppressed, the little white dragon's eyes suddenly lit up as it hurriedly opened its mouth to release a ball of soul strands. A series of crackling sounds rang out as a faint human figure that was invisible to the naked eye fell into the little white dragon's mouth. Damn it! Seeing that the fire pillar had finally stabilized and the entire Heaven Dam water prison was no longer shaking, Demon King Bai Qing's figure appeared from the 5-colored light pillar. Although the Demon King's expression couldn't be seen clearly, his tone was abnormally angry. It was clear that he felt like he had lost face in front of the other two Demon Kings. Behind him, the Demon Kings of Shrouding Sky Ridge and Ancient Bell Mountain also revealed themselves. My king, spare me, spare me! The armored demon race was shocked as he fell to the ground and trembled. Just now this little one was a bit lazy. What exactly happened? Bai Qing's Yuan Shun swept across the Heaven Dam water prison and asked coldly. This? The armored demon race hesitated for a moment before replying. It seems like. Hearing this, Bai Qing flew into a rage and shouted, "When I was suppressing Xiaohua, I made it clear that Xiaohua was extremely important and could not be out of your sight at any time. Now that he almost escaped from the Heaven Dam water prison, how dare you say it seems like? Don't tell me you don't care about this prince's words?" Woo! Following this rage on one side of Bai Qing's shell, a 5-colored light pillar shot out from between the runes and grabbed the armored demon race. The demon light around the armored demon race dimmed instantly and cracks appeared on his shell. My king, spare me, this little one is just... The armored demon race was really wronged. He hurriedly tried to explain, but at this moment, behind Bai Qing, another 5-colored light flew over. An even angrier voice shouted, "Damn it, I just left for a moment and it actually caused such a big commotion." Boom! A fist-sized light pillar shot out from the 5-colored light and blasted into the armored demon race's body. The cracked shell instantly shattered and the 5-colored light pillar pierced through. This daughter is wrong. I fell for the human race's trick of luring the tiger away from the mountain. Father, please punish me. Bai Bo's figure landed in front of the Heaven Dam water prison and immediately knelt on the ground to beg for forgiveness. Bai Qing naturally would not punish her daughter. She snorted coldly, "Yaoji, you are not strict enough with your subordinates. You must learn from this lesson and not be too kind to your subordinates. You must know that the human race has a saying, kind people are bullied and kind horses are ridden. Your kindness is weakness in the eyes of your subordinates." Yes, my king, Yaoji understands. Bai Bo did not dare to say another word. By the way, brother demon, I will go down and take a look later. Bai Qing ignored Bai Bo and said, Peng Jun laughed and said, "We will wait for a moment. Brother Bai, please set up the restriction first." Brother Peng, you must be joking. Bai Qing said a little awkwardly previously. It was because we were too suspicious that we made such a big joke. At this point, if I set up the restriction again, wouldn't that be slapping my own face? 2 demon brothers, please. Then the 3 demon kings landed at the bottom of the fire pillar. Bai Bo also followed nervously. When she saw the blood splattered around the fire pillar, the bloody clothes on the side of the stone wall, the remains of Fairy Jing's body, and the 5-colored beast's skin on the ground, Bai Qing already understood a lot. A tentacle grew out from her demon body and took the beast's skin. Then she released her primordial thought and looked at Little White Dragon. "Xiaohua, was it Li Jing who risked her life to save you?" "Little shell." Little White Dragon looked coldly at Bai Qing and replied disdainfully, "Aren't you very resourceful? Don't you already know? Do you still need to ask me?" Bai Qing didn't seem to be angry, as though Little White Dragon had already scolded her 1,000 times. She only smiled and said, "Do you know, other than this Li Jing, there are some humans who walk into a trap and get killed by my subordinates every day. They seem to be here to save you. Think about it, it's just telling this king about the origin of that thing. It won't harm you at all, nor will it affect you in any way. Why don't you say it? Today Li Jing died. Tomorrow there will be Wang Jing, Chen Jing, and all the girls who like you will die in front of you. Do you think this is interesting?" "Little shell." Little White Dragon laughed. "I have told you countless times. I don't know the origin of that thing at all. Li Jing's jade eyes weren't given by me at all. Where do you want me to find that thing for you? Besides, there's a saying in the human race. It's called, death might not be scary, but it's scary that death is as light as a feather. Li Jing died for the love in her heart and for Xiaohua's survival. Her death is as heavy as a mountain. She died without regrets. This kind of death can move heaven and earth. Damn it." Bai Qing, who had been cursing Fairy Jing countless times, heard Little White Dragon's words and felt endless jealousy in her heart. However, what was extremely rare was that other than this jealousy, there was another feeling in her heart. She's just a descendant of the human race. She overestimated herself. If she dies, then so be it. Bai Qing keenly understood the meaning in Little White Dragon's words. She waved her hand and said, "From what I heard, the jade eyes she gave to me weren't given by you? Then you aren't Xiaohua?" "Who said I wasn't Xiaohua?" Little White Dragon looked around, his gaze sweeping over Peng Jun, Ni Quan, Bai Qing, and even Bai Bo. A faint smirk appeared at the corner of his mouth. "Each and every one of you has asked this poor Taoist for several hundred years, and one of you even checked with a soul tool. This poor Taoist is naturally Xiaohua." Enemy. Seeing Little White Dragon's smirk, Bai Qing cursed inwardly. All the bones in her body went limp, and the jealousy in her heart instantly disappeared without a trace. "Xiaohua, are you a human or a dragon?" Peng Jun restrained his temper and asked. "What do you think?" Little White Dragon didn't answer. Boom! Bai Qing's tentacle of light waved, and the several hundred feet tall pillar of fire instantly became transparent. Little White Dragon's body was revealed in the flames. Immediately, the entire pillar of fire shook again, and a ring of fire fell from above. Right around little white dragon's body, crimson-red flames mixed with a 5-colored halo were born again. Roar! Little white dragon roared, and that human-shaped shell was burned into a huge dragon body. Sigh! Following Peng Jun's sigh, Bai Qing raised her hand and the pillar of fire disappeared. Little white dragon's body was covered in flames. Ha ha, ha ha. Little white dragon's painful expression was somewhat ferocious. He seemed to know that he couldn't hide it anymore. While groaning, he laughed and said, "Ridiculous, 3 little things, really pitiful. It's just a truth, and I hid it from you for hundreds of years. You say I'm smart? Or you're stupid? What do you 2 demon brothers say?" Bai Qing ignored little white dragon's sarcasm and turned to ask Peng Jun and An Quan. An Quan's expression didn't change, and he replied indifferently, "I don't care. A dead Xiaohua is more useful than a living Xiaohua. Also, I suggest that you don't need to deploy guards around Bai Qingyu anymore. Let those humans with evil intentions come in. We might as well hold a banquet and catch all of them in one fell swoop." Ah! Beside him, Bai Bo was shocked and hurriedly asked, "Father, you want to kill Xiaohua?" And Bai Qing looked at Bai Bo dotingly and responded, waving her hand to signal her not to speak. Peng Jun's expression was a little ugly. He thought for a moment and shook his head. Since this guy is from the dragon race and not Xiaohua, I have to report to Tsang Yuetian first. I hope Brother Bai won't make a move before I get the news from Tsang Yuetian. Of course. However, I don't know how long Brother Peng will need. Bai Qing knew that this matter concerned Tsang Yuetian and he had to report to Star Concealing Lake. So he asked a few more questions. Chapter 4358. Since this guy isn't Xiaohua, but a dragon, I'm afraid this is no longer something I can decide. Peng Jun didn't answer directly. Instead, he gave an ambiguous answer before cupping his hands. "I'll take my leave first. I'll immediately send the Sky Concealing Ridge's demons to assist Brother Bai." However, before Peng Jun could fly up, a faint light shone from high up in the Sky Dam water prison. A palm-sized beast's skin landed in front of Bai Qing. Bai Qing was a little surprised. He knew that if it was an ordinary matter, his subordinate wouldn't dare to send it. There must be important information in this beast's skin. Bai Qing nodded slightly at Peng Jun, and his consciousness entered the beast's skin. Peng Jun was displeased. He cupped his hands at An Quan. "Brother An, are you coming with me? Or will you stay in Bai Qingyu for a few days?" Before An Quan could answer, Bai Qing's tone turned cold, and he said in a low voice, "Are you 2 demon brothers leaving now? The Dragon Island's envoy is here." Peng Jun and An Quan both sucked in a breath of cold air and exclaimed, "Dragon Island actually really sent an envoy over?" "That's right." Bai Qing answered, "The dragon envoy is 100 miles away from me. He is the dragon envoy waiting for us to welcome him?" Peng Jun sneered. "The dragon island is really arrogant." Not only that, Bai Qing waved the beast's skin in his hand and smiled. "The dragon envoy said that if I, Bai Qingyu, suppress the dragon master of the dragon clan, he'll definitely massacre Bai Qingyu." "Brother Bai, are you scared?" Peng Jun asked with a faint smile. "If it was yesterday," Bai Qing smiled and answered, "I would have already flown to the Star Concealing Lake to ask for help. But today, what do I have to be scared of? I even want to know if this guy isn't Xiaohua. Then who is he? What's his relationship with the Dragon Master and Xiaohua? Even if it was yesterday, would Brother Bai run away?" An Quan asked with a smile. "Of course," Bai Qing said seriously. "After the 1,000 Demons' sacred realm, the Great Sage Hall doesn't fear the Dragon Island. Even the Star Concealing Lake has to avoid the Dragon Envoy of the Dragon Island. Xiankong Forest isn't scared?" Scared, how can I not be scared?" An Quan hurriedly replied. "The Dragon Island is the island of the Dragon Clan. It commands all the Dragon Clans in the world. No one dares to disobey. Although there are many demon clans in the 1,000 Demons' sacred realm, which demon clan can compare to the Dragon Clan? Let's not talk about Dragon Island's orders. Even if it's the Dragon Palace of the Four Seas orders, few demons in the 1,000 Demons' sacred realm would dare to disobey, right?" Bai Qing said with a smile. "That might not be the case." Peng Jun, who had been silent all this while, smiled faintly and said, Dragon Island has been high and mighty for a long time now. I'm afraid it's no longer down to earth. If not for the support of the Dragon Palace of the Four Seas. When he spoke up to this point, Peng Jun stopped. On the other hand, Eniquan blinked his eyes and smiled. Brother Peng, what do you mean by that? Forgive me for being inferior to the human race, but I can't understand the meaning behind it. This old man didn't say anything. How could Peng Jun say anything else? He looked at Bai Qing and smiled. Brother Bai, are you going to leave the dragon envoy of Dragon Island outside? Bai Qing looked at the two demon kings and smiled. How would this old man dare to neglect the dragon envoy? Aren't I waiting for the two demon brothers to come with me to welcome the dragon envoy of Dragon Island? Let's go together, let's go together. Eniquan smiled. Previously, because we didn't speak frankly, we actually let this guy hide it for so long. Now is the crucial moment. If we don't work together, how can there be any trust in the future? Indeed. Peng Jun nodded. If it's just Bai Qingyu alone, the dragon envoy of Dragon Island might not care. Bai Qingyu, Ancient Bell Mountain and Sky-Concealing Ridge might not be in the dragon envoy's eyes. But what about Star-Concealing Lake, Xian Space Forest and Songyu Heaven? Haha, this old man doesn't know. If Brother Peng wants to know, you can ask the dragon envoy of Dragon Island. Bai Qing laughed loudly and flew to the exit of the Heavenly Dam Water Prison. Peng Jun and Eniquan also caught up. Bai Qing's body moved a little. He looked at the little white dragon, but in the end he didn't follow. After the three demon kings left, that conch girl flew over timidly. Looking at Bai Qing, she lowered her head and didn't dare to speak. Darling Xiao. Bai Qing looked at the little white dragon's face and didn't know what to say. He only called out and then hesitated. You're actually not Xiaohua? You've deceived me for so many years. Alas, Bai Qing. The little white dragon sighed. It's not that I want to hide it from you, but I don't want to make things difficult for you. If you knew that I'm not Xiaohua, what would you do? Hide it from that little shell or tell it? Besides, whether I'm Xiaohua or not, it doesn't matter. I still only have you in my heart. A sweet smile appeared at the corner of Bai Bo's mouth, but she still snorted coldly. What little shell? That's my demon king, Bai Qingyu's father. Speaking until here, her gaze was like lightning. She glanced at the conch girl and said, Do you only have me in your heart? If it's only me, I'll kill this little slut right now. No, your highness, spare me. The conch girl's expression changed greatly, and she hurriedly knelt down in midair. What's the point of this? The little white dragon said in a low voice, I won't live for more than a few days anyway. Why do you have to make my heart ache? Bai Qing pursed her lips, not knowing what she was thinking. She then asked, that human slut just now, did she really die to save Xiaohua? And the little white dragon nodded and told her what happened just now. He then warned, no matter what, Li Jing died for Xiaohua. In the future, you absolutely can't call her slut. Of course, as long as she has nothing to do with you. I'll call her Fairy Jing now. Bai Qing replied with a laugh. The little white dragon glared at her and said, You'd better scram. In a while, your father and the two demon kings, as well as the dragon envoys from Dragon Island will come. Don't attract their attention. You care so much about my comfort? A sweet smile appeared on Bai Qing's face as she asked, Of course, you're my little sweetheart. Whether there's a moon or not, I'll sing in your ear in a low voice. I hope you'll have a peaceful life and a happy life. The little white dragon's sweet words came easily. You're such a sweetheart. Bai Qing pouted coquettishly. She wanted to pounce over and take a bite, but in the end she was afraid of any accidents. She stomped her feet and turned into a ray of light, rushing towards the entrance of the cave. The conch girl also jumped up from midair, stuck out her tongue at the little white dragon, and also flew up. After less than an hour, outside the water prison, a loud and clear dragon roar could be heard from the horizon. The dragon envoys from Dragon Island arrived on clouds. Although Peng Jun, Bai Qing, and Eniquan were trembling with fear, guarding outside the water prison, not knowing how the dragon envoys from Dragon Island would deal with the little white dragon when they saw him, the little white dragon was very clear that his name was not legitimate. There was no record in Dragon Island's dragon policy. The dragon envoys would definitely not fall out with Bai Qingyu because of him. But too bad, although the little white dragon was somewhat prepared, the reality still told him that he had been overthinking things. The majestic dragon envoys landed on the ground alone, waving his hand and extinguishing half of the flame pillars. The dragon envoys looked at the little white dragon's dragon form, then asked him two questions expressionlessly. The first one was, "Are you Xiaohua?" The second one was, "Are you Reverend Yun?" To these two questions, the little white dragon only had one word to answer: no. Then, the dragon envoys once again controlled his dragon body and flew towards the entrance of the mountain with an expressionless face. The little white dragon's self-esteem was severely trampled. He could not help but cry out anxiously, "Dragon envoy, although I'm not Xiaohua, I'm his old acquaintance, and I'm also Reverend Yun's brother. How can you just leave like that, and ignore my life and death?" The dragon envoys were about 1,000 feet high in the sky, but when they heard the little white dragon's words, they hesitated for a moment before stopping. Then they turned and said, "I'm here on the order of the elders of Dragon Palace to investigate. If you are Xiaohua or Reverend Yun, Dragon Island will rescue you, even if it means having to fight with the sacred realm of thousand demons. But too bad you are not Xiaohua, neither are you Reverend Yun. So why should I rescue you? But before I leave, I'd like to give you a piece of advice. Wherever you go, please strictly abide by the local laws and respect the local customs. Don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you are a dragon. Dragon Island can never shelter every single dragon." The little white dragon was struck dumb. He really did not expect that the dragon envoy would say something like that. To be honest, even though the little white dragon was suppressed in by Qingyu, his days were truly free and unfettered. He was so happy that he almost forgot about home. Not to mention by Bo and Conch Maiden throwing themselves into his arms, just the refinement of the fire pillar was not harmful to him at all. Instead, it was a form of tempering for him, a form of cultivation that was hard to come by. Therefore, for the past 200 years, the little white dragon had been foolishly pretending to be Xiaohua to tease the three demon kings. Until today, when Fairy Jing had fallen for Xiaohua, and Bai Qing had mentioned that she was doing it for him, many humans except Bai Qingyu had walked right into the trap. What was more, Bai Qingyu even had the intention of killing him. Therefore, the little white dragon had no choice but to consider escaping. When the dragon envoys of Dragon Island arrived, the little white dragon wanted to tell them the truth. Although he was not Xiaohua or Reverend Yun, he was, after all, the embodiment of dragon cleansing liquid, a rare existence among the dragons. But when he saw the dragon envoy come alone without any dragon generals, he realized that the dragon envoy did not seem like he was going to rescue Xiaohua. If he claimed to be Reverend Yun, not to mention whether Bai Qing could help him and the dragon envoy escape, even Peng Jun would definitely turn hostile. Not only would he not be able to escape, but the dragon envoy would also fall. And if the dragon envoy could escape safely, although he could not escape for the time being, the dragon envoy would definitely inform the dragon palace of his situation. Perhaps he would still have a chance. But now, when he heard the dragon envoy's high-sounding statement, the little white dragon completely extinguished the thought of asking for help from Dragon Island. He stared at the dragon envoy's back and cried out in shock, "Are you the dragon envoy? Are you here to save me, or to humiliate me?" Chapter 4359. I am the envoy of Dragon Island. Unfortunately, you are not the master of the Dragon Clan. The Dragon Clan said proudly, "You are not qualified to listen to my words." Roar. The little white dragon roared angrily and watched the dragon envoy fly out of the heavenly dam water prison. Bai Qing and the other two demon kings stood outside the cave, worried about their gains and losses. Bai Qing even arranged for some elite disciples to lie in ambush around the water under Peng Jun's suggestion, just in case. When the three demon kings saw that the dragon envoy came up alone with the same expression as when he flew down, they were relieved. Bai Qing went up to him and said with a smile, "Lord Dragon Envoy, may I know if my actions have offended Dragon Island? Since you dared to suppress my dragon clan, you naturally offended Dragon Island." The dragon envoy replied, however, "Dragon Island has always abided by the non-fighting agreement between the demon clans. We will not condone the dragon clan who uses Dragon Island's name to make things difficult for the demon clans. Since this white dragon offended you, It is a personal grudge between you and him. Dragon Island will not meddle in it. Dragon Island is indeed a sacred place revered by both the human clan and the demon clan in the 3 continents and 4 seas. Bai Qing said with a smile, I can't say for other places, but from the fairness of the envoy's incident, I know that Dragon Island is relying on you for its prosperity. In fact, when this one captured this dragon, this one already knew that this fellow was spouting nonsense. How could the dragon master of the dragon race be like this? Yes, the dragon envoy nodded proudly and said, since Bai Qing you didn't suppress the dragon clan member, then my mission is considered completed. I will take my leave now, O Lord Dragon Envoy. How could Bai Qing let go of such an excellent opportunity? He hurriedly stood in front of the dragon clan member and said with a smile, Lord, why are you in such a hurry to leave? I have already prepared a banquet. After you have finished your tiredness, I will send you off. How about that? No need. The dragon envoy said proudly, the inspection of Dragon Island is very strict. Not to mention having a banquet here. Even taking a primordial stone may be discovered by the inspectors. When Bai Qing heard this, she immediately understood. After sending a voice transmission to a demon next to her, she smiled and said, if that's the case, I'll send the messenger out. That dragon envoy nodded and took the lead to fly into the clouds. Flying out of Bai Qingyu, the 3 demon kings Bai Qing, Peng Jun and Enai Quan didn't dare to be negligent. They hurriedly moved their bodies and followed behind, wanting to send the dragon envoy out of Bai Qingyu. Seeing that the dragon envoy was about to fly out of Bai Qingyu, the demon that Bai Qing had sent a voice transmission to caught up with her and secretly handed a universe bangle to Bai Qing. Bai Qing looked at Peng Jun and Enai Quan and was about to send a voice transmission to the 2 demon kings. Suddenly, Peng Jun's eyes flashed with golden light and he shouted, where did this little thing come from? You actually dare to show off your abilities in front of us demon kings? Along with this furious roar, Peng Jun spread his wings and pounced towards the air 10,000 feet to the left of Bai Qing. His sharp claws grabbed downwards, imprisoning the space within 100 feet. Even within that space, strands of hair-like spatial cracks appeared. Damn it! Just as Peng Jun moved, Enai Quan, who was beside Bai Qing, also had a slight change in expression. He growled, Lord Dragon Envoy of Dragon Island is right in front of us. Where did this little thing come from? How dare he use his abilities here? Isn't he looking down on us? As he spoke, Enai Quan's figure flashed and pounced towards the place a few miles to the right of Bai Qing. Different from Peng Jun, Enai Quan's demon body flashed a string of shadows in the air. At the same time, the horn on the top of his head produced an oval-shaped halo. The halo was grayish-white and sealed the space within 1,000 feet. These 2 demon brothers are really perceptive. Bai Qing was overjoyed when he saw this. Just as he was about to speak to the dragon envoy of Dragon Island, he vaguely saw a yellow light flickering between the spatial cracks in the space imprisoned by Peng Jun's sharp claws. Then, a silver-white light pillar suddenly rushed out from the light pillar. Although the light pillar looked very weak, it was extremely strange. It actually shattered the space imprisoned by Peng Jun in a few breaths' time. Then a yellow shadow flashed like the wind and a small mink figure rushed towards Bai Qingyu. Moreover, this small mink was exclaiming, damn it! Why is Bai Qingyu's demon clan so powerful? Ah? Bai Qing was greatly shocked and looked at the small mink in disbelief. After all, Bai Qingyu was his demon realm. How could he not pay attention to the nearby movements? Moreover, because of the banquet, Bai Qingyu's entire realm was on guard. Although this place was not far from the border of Bai Qingyu, it was still within Bai Qingyu. This small mink actually sneaked in without being discovered. This kind of magical power was really rare. Bai Qing was shocked and hurriedly looked in Enai Quan's direction. Indeed, within a few hundred feet of the space controlled by Enai Quan, a silver-white light pillar also appeared. However, the difference was that a small dog like Black Lightning appeared there, and actually broke through Enai Quan's control. The small dog even exclaimed with joy, haha little yellow I won. When it's time for the banquet later, you have to let me eat first. Damn it! Bai Qing was quite embarrassed and angry. 2 little demons actually sneaked into Bai Qingyu right in front of his eyes and were even discovered by the demon kings of Shrouding Sky Ridge and Ancient Bell Mountain in front of the dragon envoy of Dragon Island. Oh! Not only was Bai Qing embarrassed and angry, but Ai Quan and Peng Jun were also a little surprised. After all, the strength that these two little things displayed was only at the light-gathering realm, or even the wisdom realm. However, their magical power of concealment and escape was something that the two demon kings had never seen before. If you escape, how can this king still have the face to stay in the Thousand Demons' sacred realm? Ai Quan and Peng Jun said almost in unison and chased after them with their magical powers. As for the demon generals beside the three demon kings, they did not dare to delay and flew in other directions, hoping to intercept the two little demons. Bai Qing suppressed the embarrassment and anger in her heart. Seeing that there were fewer demons around, she smiled at the dragon envoy of Dragon Island and said, "My Bai Qing, you can't be compared to Star Shrouding Lake, let alone Dragon Island. I just wanted to hold a banquet and there are so many troubles. Today, two little things actually sneaked into Bai Qing you. If it weren't for the two demon brothers, I would have embarrassed myself. I've really made a fool of myself in front of the dragon envoy." The dragon envoy of Dragon Island's expression was still calm. He raised his dragon claw and waved it, saying, "These two little demons are very strange, Io." Bai Qing did not hear what the dragon envoy said. She suddenly exclaimed in surprise, "Lord Dragon Envoy, the wrist guard on your arm, where did you get it? I find it familiar no matter how I look at it." "Hehe. That's a dragon weapon refined by my Dragon Island's great weaponsmith. It's impossible to see it in ordinary places?" The dragon envoy was stunned. His calm expression relaxed a little as he answered with a faint smile. Bai Qing took a deep breath and exclaimed, "So it was refined by Dragon Island's great weaponsmith. No wonder it's so powerful. How about this, Lord Dragon Envoy? I've never been to Dragon Island and have never had the chance to meet this great weaponsmith. However, I really like this wrist guard. I wonder if you can part with it?" The smile on the dragon envoy's face deepened. However, there was a puzzled expression in his eyes as if he did not understand what Bai Qing was talking about. As Bai Qing spoke, she handed the heaven and earth bangle that the demon general took from earlier to the dragon envoy. She said earnestly, "This is what I'm going to trade with you. Of course, I know that this wrist guard is a priceless treasure. Compared to this wrist guard, what I want to trade is really insignificant. However, I really like this wrist guard. I hope you'll reluctantly accept it, Lord." Haha. The dragon envoy's Yuan Shan scanned the heaven and earth bangle and saw a lot of vitality stones inside. How could he not know the reason? He laughed loudly and his calm expression disappeared. "This wrist guard is of course a rare dragon weapon from Dragon Island. I didn't want to take it out to trade with you. However, seeing that you like it so much, I'll give it to you." "Fine, I'll grant you your wish. Thank you, Lord Dragon Envoy." Bai Qing agreed ecstatically. She took the wrist guard from the dragon envoy and kept it happily. "I used to think that Dragon Island was an unreachable place. Now that I've met the dragon envoy, I know that the rumors are not true. Lord Dragon Envoy is really approachable." Haha. The dragon envoy kept the heaven and earth bangle and smiled. Dragon Island is naturally an unreachable place for ordinary demon clans. However, to those demon clans who are close to Dragon Island, it's not a mysterious place. Yes, I understand." Bai Qing felt relieved and replied with an obsequious smile. "Lord Dragon Envoy, please." At this moment, in the sky far away, Peng Jun actually revealed the true form of a golden-winged roc. He flapped his wings and flew back. His sharp claws were holding little Martin. Although little Martin was captured by the golden-winged roc, he was still struggling with all his might. A yellow demon cloud appeared around him. Since little Martin had been captured, the puppy would not be spared. On the other side, Ai Quan had also urged the demon cloud to fly over. There was also a black puppy in front of him, but this puppy was much more obedient than little Martin. Its body was bound by a series of dual-colored light ribbons, and its two ears were swaying left and right, as if it was not afraid at all. The dragon envoy was about to fly away. However, when he saw Ai Quan and Peng Jun flying back, he was actually standing in midair. Bai Qing was a little surprised. She urged her body to fly in front of them and said loudly, "Demon brothers, where did these two little things come from?" Haha. Peng Jun flew over first. He waved his sharp claws and threw little Martin in front of Bai Qing. He laughed and said, "Ask them yourself." Bai Qing snorted coldly. A 5-colored light column emerged from the shell and transformed into a fingerless giant hand in the air. It grabbed little Martin and asked, "What's your name? Why did you come to my Bai Qingyu?" Chapter 4360. "Oh!" Little Martin shouted loudly in the demon language of the 1,000 demons' sacred realm. "What do you want to ask? Big brother, if you want to ask, just say it. If you don't ask, how will I know what you want to ask? Although you are looking at me with sincerity, you still have to tell me what you want to ask. Do you really want to ask? Go ahead and ask. You don't really want to ask, do you? Do you really want to ask? Oh, big brother, can't you be gentler? Just ask whatever you want to ask. Why do you have to be so violent? Are you going to let go? Are you going to let go? If you don't, I will tell all the demons in the 1,000 demons sacred realm that you are bullying the weak." Little Martin spoke extremely quickly. He only took a few moments to finish these awkward sentences. Moreover, little Martin's voice was extremely pleasing to the ears. These words flowed into the ears of the demon clan members like flowing water. Not only was Bai Qing stunned, even the dragon envoy couldn't help but laugh. Damn it! Bai Qing only came to his senses after a while. He wanted to activate his demon power again, but felt that it was inappropriate. He could only shout, "Didn't I already ask you? What's your name? Why did you come to my Bai Qingyu?" "My name is Little Yellow," Little Martin said seriously. "Of course I'm here for the banquet." For the banquet? Bai Qing was stunned. He suddenly recalled what Little Martin and Little Dog had said. He suddenly realized, "Are you here to attend the Qingbu banquet?" "Yes, yes, yes." Little Martin nodded his head like a chick pecking at rice. Saliva flowed out from the corner of his mouth. "Yes, it is the banquet." At this moment, an icon also threw Little Black over. This little black dog was much more obedient than Little Yellow Martin. He only stood in the air timidly and didn't dare to say anything. "What's your name?" Bai Qing asked again. "Little Black." "Are you here for the banquet too?" "Yes." "Where did you and Little Yellow come from?" "Jianzhong Jiao." Bai Qing could not help but laugh when she heard the little black dog answering her every question without wasting a single word. It was completely different from the little yellow mink. She pointed at it and said, "What's the relationship between the two of you? Why is one so noisy and the other so taciturn?" "We're brothers," the little black dog and the little yellow mink said at the same time. "I'm the elder brother." "I'm big brother." "I'm big brother." The black puppy, who was usually a man of few words, did not back down. It started to fight with the yellow mink. "Haha, interesting." The dragon envoy of Dragon Island said with a smile, "You two little things, the two of you look so different. You're not even from the same Yao clan. How can you be brothers?" "Brother Dragon." Little yellow mink struggled to stand up and said, "Little Black and I grew up with the same parents. How could we not be brothers? If they weren't brothers, how could he only have one father and mother? Those are the parents who raised you, not the parents who gave birth to you." The dragon envoy looked at the smart little yellow mink and said with pity, "Didn't your parents tell you who is the elder brother and who is the younger brother? We got separated from our parents." Little yellow mink was about to cry at the mention of their parents. "We found Baitsong Mountain at the corner of the forest, but we couldn't find them. So, we heard that there was a banquet here, so we rushed over to have a feast." It's fine if you don't let us have a feast, but why did you kidnap us?" The dragon envoy rolled his eyes and said with a smile, "Little Yellow, Little Black, have you heard of the Dragon Palace?" "Dragon Palace?" Little Yellow rolled his little eyes and nodded vigorously. "Yes, yes, of course we've heard of it. I heard that there's a lot of good food in the Dragon Palace." "That's right." The dragon envoy nodded. "Not only is there good food in the Dragon Palace, if you follow me to the Dragon Palace, I'll ask the Dragon King to help you find your parents." Okay. Little Yellow did not hesitate at all. He jumped up and shouted. "But," Little Black shook his head. "Our parents are afraid of water. I heard that our parents were almost eaten by a python dragon." "Oh, that's right. I forgot." Goldie shook his head like a rattle drum. I'm not going." The dragon envoy opened his mouth again and wanted to say something. Peng Jun smiled and said, "Lord Dragon Envoy, The border of Baiqingyu is just ahead. The three of us will send you there. The dragon envoy looked at Peng Jun with displeasure. His gaze swept past the two little things, seemingly unwilling to part with them. "My lord, please," Quan said with a fake smile on his face. "Please?" The dragon envoy knew what the two demon kings meant. He only smiled and flew into the sky far away. "You wait here and watch over the two of them." Seeing that even the dragon envoy was moved, how could Baiqing not know that these two little demons had some background? She hurriedly ordered and flew behind the dragon envoy. Little Yellow and Little White naturally heard about Xiaohua's news and came to find an opportunity to save Xiaohua. However, 200 years of experience in the Thousand Demons Sacred Realm and the hidden immortal continent had allowed them to grow a lot. They didn't attack foolishly, but wanted to see if they could find an opportunity to sneak into Baiqingyu. Seeing the three demon kings and the dragon envoy fly away, Little Yellow asked softly in his heart, "Little Black, Father's aura is more obvious. He should be here. It seems like the rumors are true. Father was suppressed by these demon kings. We must sneak in and not attract their attention. What do you think we should do now?" The two little things experienced the separation of yin and yang in Xiaohua's space. They didn't realize it before they left the space, but after they started their training they realized it again. Because they had been talking to Xiaohua with their hearts since they were young, they didn't know when they learned the ability to talk to each other through their hearts. This was many times more powerful than some voice transmission. "We'll act according to the situation." Although Little Black didn't say much, he had an idea in his heart. He replied, "Since these three demon kings didn't kill him immediately, we have a chance. Let's sneak into Baiqingyu first. As long as Father's aura is still there, he won't be in danger." "Okay." Little Yellow agreed and immediately shouted, "Damn it, what's going on? Why did you leave us here and ignore us? Are you going to let us join this banquet or not? I'm hungry. Can't you give us some appetizers first? I say, big brother, how many delicacies did you prepare for the banquet? What are your family's chef's specialties?" Goldie continued to blabber on like a chatterbox, spittle flying everywhere. Fortunately, his voice was very pleasant to the ears. Although the group of demons were a little impatient, they did not have to pay attention to the meaning behind his words. It was quite pleasant to the ears. On the other hand, Little Black still stood quietly in midair, not saying a word. In just half a meal's time, Baiqing and the other two demon kings returned with a group of demon soldiers and demon generals. Peng Jun, who had said that he would leave first, wasn't in a hurry to leave now. The three demon kings looked at the captured Little Yellow and Little Black, each of them calculating their own plans and not in a hurry to speak. When the demon generals at the side saw this, they all bowed and dispersed. After a full meal's time, Baiqing smiled at Peng Jun and said, "Brother Peng, aren't you in a hurry to send a message to Tsongyuetian? Now that the dragon envoy of Dragon Island has left, shouldn't you go back too?" Peng Jun replied, "Brother Bai isn't in a hurry to send a message to the Heavenly Dam Water Prison. Why should I be in a hurry to send a message?" It was Quan who spoke up and made things clear. "Brother Bai, this little black dog was found by me, and captured by me personally. You don't have to worry about it, right?" "Little Yellow?" Peng Jun asked straightforwardly. "I'm the Demon King of Covered Sky Ridge. When I left, I already ordered my boys' subordinates to set up a banquet. As long as I leave, there will be good food. Are you willing to go back with me? Covered Sky Ridge isn't in the water, right?" Little Yellow didn't hesitate at all and asked immediately. "Of course not." Peng Jun smiled. "I'm a golden-winged great rock. How can I live in the water?" "Okay." Little Yellow agreed. "We'll go with you." "Haha." Peng Jun laughed wildly and said to Baiqing, "Brother Bai, as we discussed earlier, this Little Yellow agrees to go with me. You can't stop it." Baiqing didn't answer, but Quan sneered. "Brother Peng, don't be happy too early." Little Yellow said them. Peng Jun came to a realization, then said indifferently, "It's fine if Little Black can come. My Covered Sky Ridge's banquet isn't lacking a seat. Little Black was found and captured by me. How can I let you take it away?" Quan refused without hesitation. "Big brother, take us away. I'm hungry." Little Yellow struggled to fly in Peng Jun's direction and shouted, "If you don't eat now, you'll starve to death." With that, Little Yellow's small body flipped in midair, and it rolled its eyes as if it was really starving to death. Ha ha ha. Bai Qing laughed and said, "Boy, send some blood food over. Don't let it starve to death in my Bai Qingyu." The demon race was particular about devouring. Not only did they devour Nebula Brilliance, but they also devoured demon cores and blood food. Bai Qingyu naturally didn't lack blood food. In just a moment, a member of the Water Clan brought over 2 huge blood-dancing beasts. These blood-dancing beasts were the demon beasts that gathered around Bai Qingyu. They had a lot of blood and flesh and tasted delicious. Haha. When Little Yellow saw the blood-dancing beasts, it climbed up in midair and flew to the side of the blood-dancing beasts that were dozens of times bigger than it. It stuck out its nose and with a snort, a small silver brilliance sprinkled on the blood-dancing beasts. The blood-dancing beasts were originally restrained by the Water Clan and were obedient. However, when they saw the silver brilliance fall, they immediately struggled and even howled as if they were extremely terrifying. Chapter 43-61. Under the shocked gazes of the 3 demon kings, a faint shadow fell into the light and was sucked into Goldie's mouth and nose. As the shadow disappeared, the huge body of the blood dance beast withered at a speed visible to the naked eye. Layers of blood also fell into Goldie's stomach along with the light. When the blood dance beast turned into a pile of white bones, Goldie burped and lazily and contentedly rubbed its stomach with its little claws. It was very satisfied. Woof! Before the 3 demon kings could recover from their shock, Blackie barked again. The 3 demon kings hurriedly turned their heads and saw Blackie fly to the blood dance beast's side. It opened its mouth and the space in front of its head twisted slightly. When the distortion fell on the blood dance beast, the huge blood dance beast's entire body was pulled flat and elongated. After that, the blood dance beast was swallowed into Blackie's stomach like a leaf without much struggle. The 3 demon kings sucked in a breath of cold air and looked at each other. Without waiting for Peng Jun and Bai Qing to speak, Quan hurriedly shouted, "Blackie was captured by me. None of you can have any ideas about him." Hehe, Xiao Huang was captured by this old master. None of you can have any ideas about him. Peng Jun basically did not change a single word as he blurted it out. Bai Qing smiled and said, "This is my territory. Blackie and Goldie are brothers. It's impossible for them to separate." After saying that, Bai Qing smiled and said to Blackie and Goldie, "Don't you think so?" "What do you mean by, don't?" Goldie was full and became lazy. It didn't even want to speak. It lay in midair and almost used a tree branch as a toothpick. At this time Blackie was also lying in the air. It stretched its limbs lazily and ignored Bai Qing's question. "Brother Bai, what do you mean?" Peng Jun and Quan asked in unison. "Nothing." Bai Qing smiled and said, "It's the same as the 2 demon brothers." Damn it. Quan cursed in his heart. He was also in a difficult position. If there were 3 of these strange demons, it would be easy to distribute them. However, there were only 2 of them, and they were in Bai Qingyu's territory. This made things difficult for the 3 demon kings. However, Quan was well aware that there were countless demon clans in the 1,000 Demons sacred realm. The pure-blooded demon clans such as the golden-winged great pung bird, the flying feather void beast, and the 5-colored sea god shell all had innate abilities, but these abilities were getting weaker with each generation. Unless a purer bloodline was born in a certain generation, only then would the demon race be revitalized again. However, he had never seen demons like Little Black and Little Yellow in the 1,000 Demons sacred realm. Furthermore, from what the 2 of them had said, it was very likely that they were mutated demons. This kind of demon usually had divine abilities that ordinary demons could not reach. If this divine ability was fused with the bloodline of other pure demons, it was very likely that it would give the demon a new divine ability. Even if there was no such possibility, the 2 of them had such strange divine abilities at such a young age. When they grew up in the future, how powerful would they be? There was no way Quan would let go of such a demon race with unlimited potential. No! Without waiting for Quan to speak, Peng Jun immediately refused. Peng Jun's true form was the golden-winged great pung bird. He was extremely arrogant, and his backer was the first great saint in the 1,000 Demons sacred realm. How could he give in? There's nothing wrong with that. Bai Qing smiled slightly. If it were elsewhere, he would not directly clash with Peng Jun. However, this was his own demon realm, and he did not care about Peng Jun's thoughts. My two demon brothers. Seeing that the two demon kings in front of him were about to get angry, An Quan hurriedly said with a smile, I feel that our energy should be focused on the banquet. Although these two little things are cute, they are not particularly important. We can put it aside first and talk about it later. Who said they are not important? Peng Jun's eyes slanted as he looked at An Quan. An Quan still smiled and said, First, Brother Peng urgently needs to return to the sky-concealing ridge to send a message. Second, we don't know the origins of these two little things. Who knows if they have other intentions? Therefore, I think it's better to let these two little things stay with Brother Bai for the time being. Anyway, he has a lot of blood food here. We don't have to worry about these two little things eating. Peng Jun still wanted to say something, but An Quan transmitted a few words. Peng Jun narrowed his eyes and looked at the two little things, then turned to Bai Qing and said, Then I'll have to trouble Brother Bai. Leave Goldie with Bai Qing you for the time being. After the banquet, we'll discuss it again. Farewell. After Peng Jun finished speaking, he wanted to show off. He raised his head and let out an eagle's cry that shook 100 miles. Then, he spread his wings and his whole body glowed with demon light. Brother Bai. An Quan didn't stay any longer. He also cupped his hands and glanced at Xiao He, who was in a daze in the air. He spread his wings and a vague shadow soared into the sky and quickly disappeared. Humph! After the two demon kings left, Bai Qing snorted coldly. The colorful halo above the shell turned into two light pillars and fell on Blackie and Goldie. The light pillars rushed into the shackles that the two demon kings had placed on the two little ones like a spiral. With a crackling sound, these shackles were torn into pieces by the halo. Haha! Goldie and Blackie were overjoyed. Just when they wanted to move, Bai Qing snorted coldly again. Two damn little things, how can I not know what you're thinking? How dare you play hard to get in front of me? As he spoke, the halo that broke the restriction suddenly intensified, and completely bound the two little ones who were not prepared. Tell me who sent you here? Bai Qing snorted coldly. The halo shrank rapidly and squeezed the two little bodies into a ball. Ouch, it hurts so much. Big brother, why did you suddenly turn hostile? Goldie shouted loudly, If you don't want us to eat the banquet, you can ask the big brother just now to take us away. Don't play dumb in front of me. Bai Qing did not care about Goldie's coquettish behavior at all. With a wave of the halo, she threw the two little ones in front of the demon generals and said, Suppress them first. Yes, the demon generals naturally did not understand Bai Qing's thoughts, but they did not dare to be negligent. Several demon clan members took the two little ones away in a hurry. Damn it! Goldie was a little confused. He said to Blackie in his mind, How did this guy see through it? He didn't see through it. Blackie said coldly, He's really playing hard to get. Oh no, or is it a show of strength? He has some doubts, but he doesn't have any evidence. He doesn't want the two of us to be taken away by the two demon kings, so he suppressed the two of us first so that the two demon kings can't take us away. This guy is so cunning. Goldie understood immediately and cursed silently. If he wasn't cunning, how could he suppress Father? Blackie said with a smile, If only he could put us together with Father. That's right. Time has wings. It's been more than 200 years since I last saw Father. I really miss him. Goldie actually had some literary talent and could not help but sigh with emotion. Do you think Father will be especially surprised to see us? At the mention of Xiao Hua, Blackie became more talkative, and the expression on his face also became rich. He will definitely scold us. Goldie said with a smile, In the past, when we were at his knees, we never felt that he was good to us. In these 200 years, the more experience we have, the more we understand his heart. He would rather be tortured than let us save him. Now that we have grown up, it's time for us to share his burden. Blackie was held by the demon generals. He looked at the distant luster and said resolutely. Seeing the demon generals take the two little ones away, Bai Qing's mood became better. Blackie had guessed his thoughts correctly. How could he let go of Bai Qing's two little ones? No matter if the two little ones came for Xiao Hua or not, he had to suppress them. He had to put the two little ones together with Xiaohua. As for the arrival of the Dragon Island's dragon envoy, it blew away his last bit of worry, making him not have any fear. As for whether this Xiaohua was the same Xiaohua or not, he did not care at all, because according to the records, the 7-colored conch jade I was given to Fairy Jing by Xiaohua. Fairy Jing died to save this Xiaohua. Didn't Fairy Jing's death mean that this Xiaohua in the dragon body was the Xiaohua that Fairy Jing knew? Bai Qing had heard little white dragon's words countless times in these 100 years. How could he believe it? As for Fairy Jing's death, he did not care about it at all. As he said, there were dozens of such human descendants in the Thousand Beasts sacred realm, if not more than 100. Whether this little white dragon was the Xiaohua that Peng Jun was looking for or not, that was not Bai Qing's concern. Moreover, even if this little white dragon did not know the whereabouts of the 7-colored conch, what he said was true. Since the news of the Qing banquet had been spread out, the real Xiaohua would naturally come. Bai Qing could also capture the real Xiaohua and complete the mission given by the old ancestor. Bai Qing thought as he flew. He arrived at a mountain ridge that was not far from the heavenly dam water prison. It was like an ingot that rose from the water. Looking from afar, there were high platforms on all sides and a flat ground in the middle. It was like the main hall of the Demon King's cave. Haha, it's here. Bai Qing's vital sense swept over. He stopped and laughed. Since I, Bai Qingyu, want to hold the Qing banquet, there must be a place to set up the banquet. This place is good. Boys, clean up this place. After this king asks for the old ancestor's order, we will hold a banquet here. Invite all the humans and demons who attacked my Bai Qingyu here, and let them take the initiative to deliver their flesh and blood. We will drink human blood and eat human flesh. The banquet will last for 3 days. Yes, this humble one understands. The demons were overjoyed and shouted, "Thank you for your grace, your majesty. We like the flesh and blood of human cultivators the most. It is both tough and nutritious." Chapter 4362. Not to mention Bai Qingyu, the demons were ready to open up their defenses and set up a banquet at the trap designated by Demon Monarch Bai Qing. All the human cultivators who came to the Thousand Demon Sacred Realm to save Xiaohua would become food for the banquet. There was a low hill hundreds of thousands of miles away from Bai Qingyu. The hills were high and low, covering thousands of miles. There weren't many giant trees in the area of the hills. Only a type of greenish-purple vine as thick as a thumb could be seen all over the area. There were also 4-cornered leaves on the vine. These leaves swayed with the wind and made rustling sounds. Under the moonlight, the leaves and vines glowed with triangular phosphorescent lights. Amidst the phosphorescent lights, dozens of black figures less than 3 feet tall stepped on the demonic cloud. They brushed against the vines as they slowly flew into the depths of the hills. Under the moonlight, the group of black figures wore strange armor and didn't show their faces. The armor was also suffused with a dark green color. Under the dark green color, there was a thick blood-red color that even the moonlight couldn't wash away. As the dozens of black figures flew, the black figure in front suddenly stopped. Without the black figure making any hand gestures, the other black figures immediately scattered and crouched on the hill as if they were well trained. "It's here." That black figure released his primordial thought and said after looking around, "Yes." When the black figures heard and answered in a low voice, they straightened up and flew in different directions for a while before releasing their primordial thought. The black figure in front raised his hand and took off the armor on his head, revealing the face of a demon. Wasn't it Ing Po of the Loi Merchant Union? Not long after, the scouting clansman returned and reported in a low voice, reporting to Patriarch, "There's nothing strange in the vicinity. Good, follow me down." Ing Po nodded his head in satisfaction. He activated his demonic energy and demonic clouds appeared around his armor. His entire body then disappeared down the hill. Seeing Ing Po move, the other clansmen also activated their demon clouds and followed him down. Ing Po flew straight for a few miles, and saw that the demon clouds around the armor were getting thicker and thicker, and some of the demon characters on the armor were beginning to tremble. Only then did he stop. Immediately after, Ing Po took out a palm-sized paper crane from his bosom. He opened his mouth and spat out a stream of demonic qi. When the demonic qi landed on the paper crane, A wave was generated and several strands of righteous chi rushed into the surrounding void. With a boom, the righteous chi landed on the paper crane. The paper crane was visibly full, and in just a moment, it turned into a lifelike red-crowned crane. The red-crowned crane let out a clear cry and flew in another direction with clouds surging around its body. "Let's go." Ingpa turned around and looked at his clansmen. Each and every one of them had a serious expression on their faces, and there wasn't the slightest bit of hesitation on their faces. Feeling satisfied, he waved his hand and said, just like that, the red-crowned crane flew in front of him while Ingpa and his clansmen followed behind. After flying for the time it took for an incense stick to burn, a faint wisp of smoke appeared on the red-crowned crane's body. It was spontaneously combusted. At this point, Ingbo's vigilance was much lower. He clapped his hand and took out a fist-sized pearl. His left hand actually formed a seal, which seemed to be a Taoist technique. A ray of brilliance hit the pearl, and the pearl emitted a watery light screen. Ingbo held the pearl and looked around carefully. The light screen clearly reflected the situation within 100 miles around him. After confirming that it was safe, Ingbo put away the pearl and took out a beast skin. Clan leader, a demon behind Ingpa, who seemed to be very close to him, couldn't help but whisper, "This is a relatively barren place in the Thousand Demons sacred realm. It's not suitable for any demon to live here. Just now we didn't see any other demon on our way here. Moreover, this place is so far from the ground. It's unlikely that any other demon would discover our tracks, right?" Ingpa didn't care about anything else. He opened his mouth and spat another mouthful of demon aura onto the beast's skin. The beast's skin began to shrink, and several rays of moon and star power also fell from the void. Finally, it transformed into the appearance of a spirit mouse. This spirit mouse sniffed and began to fly in another direction. "Let's go," Ingpa ordered. His body moved, and then he whispered to the demon, "Chu Jing, although you say so, after all, this concerns the life and death of my clan and the survival of the Luoyi Merchant Alliance. I have to be careful." "Haha. It's our Luoyi Merchant Alliance." The demon named Chu Jing naturally couldn't refute. He smiled and whispered, "How could other demon clansmen have so many different methods to avoid being tracked?" The spirit mouse flew in front of them for half a meal's time. Suddenly, a thought swept over from afar. That thought landed on Ingpa. After a brief inspection, it retracted like a stream. Then, as the spirit mouse slowly shrank, a yellow halo appeared in the distance. Ingpa and the other demonic beasts stopped and waited for the halo to fly over. The halo passed by dozens of demonic beasts. Every time it passed by a demonic beast, the demonic beast would mysteriously disappear. When all the demonic beasts had disappeared, the halo also disappeared. When Ingpa appeared again, he was already in a huge space. Clan leader. A few elders who were also dressed in battle armor came forward to greet him. Behind these elders, there were thousands of demon clan members in the surrounding space. These demons looked very similar to Ingpa. However, they didn't utter a word. Instead, they stood up respectfully. "Ah?" Ingpa seemed to be a little dizzy. When he steadied himself, he saw that the underground space was so big, and there were so many clansmen in front of him. He couldn't help but be shocked. He said in surprise, "Why are you all here?" The elder in front had a smile on his face. He didn't explain much and only said, "I've already told them about clan leader's intention." However, they knew that spiritual master Xiao was imprisoned by Qingyu. Clan leader gave up the position of clan leader and arranged the affairs of the Luoyi Merchant Alliance. He was prepared to bring a few clansmen that spiritual master Xiao taught personally to Qingyu. They didn't follow clan leader's arrangement at all and followed me here. Ingpu looked at so many clansmen and elders and felt warm in his heart. He opened his mouth but didn't know what to say. In the end, he said in a low voice, "I only asked Great Elder to bring a few hundred clansmen who were willing to sacrifice their lives for spiritual master Xiao to follow me to Qingyu. Yes, clan leader even said that he would return the position of clan leader to us here." Great Elder looked at Ingpa and said with a smile, "It's a pity that I told the elders about this." Not only did they disagree, but all of the clansmen were also unwilling. "I thank you on behalf of spiritual master Xiao." Ingpu looked at his clansmen and felt really happy. He actually imitated the human race and bowed to the clansmen. How could Great Elder and the others let him bow? They hurriedly helped him up and said, "Clan leader, you've really underestimated us. Although we had some conflicts with Spiritual Master Shao back then, that was because we weren't familiar with him. Since we know that Spiritual Master Shao is a righteous person and is also the benefactor of our clan, even if we have to give up the lives of our entire clan, we'll still go and rescue him. It's good that Great Elder has such intentions." Ingpa steadied his mind and said, "The rise of our clan and the prosperity of the Luoyi Merchant Alliance today is all thanks to Spiritual Master Shao. Therefore, if he's in trouble, I can't ignore it. Our clan can't ignore it. However, since Spiritual Master Shao was suppressed by Qingyu, we already know what kind of background Qingyu has. What we're doing now is akin to striking a stone with an egg. I can give up my life and so can my clansmen. However, our clan can't be exterminated, and our Luoyi Merchant Alliance can't disappear. We have to take our time and plan carefully." "Sai, that's right. I also told our clansmen that." Fourth Elder and the others at the side were somewhat helpless. But they said that they only listened to clan leader. Since Spiritual Master Shao is our benefactor, we must rescue him even if we have to sacrifice our lives. Bitterness appeared on Ingpo's face. He raised his eyes to look in Qingyu's direction and said, "If we can rescue Spiritual Master Shao with our lives alone, then it'll be simple." At this point, Ingpo shook his head and tried his best to get rid of some distracting thoughts. He said, "Forget it, let's not talk about it anymore. Since we're already here, elders, let's quickly discuss and arrange as many clansmen as possible to attack Qingyu with me. After all, the disciples of the Soaring Dragon Mountain Range are still waiting for my news there." "How many disciples of the Soaring Dragon Mountain Range are here?" First Elder asked worriedly. "They're humans. It won't be easy for them to go so deep into Qingyu, right?" Ingpo looked to the left and said in a low voice, "According to the reliable news obtained by the Merchant Alliance, the Soaring Dragon Mountain Range has already been discovered by the Confucian cultivators. The Immortal Palace has issued a punitive order and is preparing to attack the Soaring Dragon Mountain Range." "Ah? Isn't this adding frost to the snow?" All the elders turned pale with fright. "Sai, that's right." Ingpa smiled bitterly. "Spiritual Master Shao has been away from the Soaring Dragon Mountain Range for 200 years. During this time, there were some news from the hidden Immortal Continent and the Thousand Demon Sacred Realm. Those disciples of the Soaring Dragon Mountain Range had always thought that Spiritual Master Shao was training in the 3 continents. They didn't expect news of Qingyu to come. He was actually suppressed in Qingyu for more than 200 years. Do you think those disciples can live peacefully? Not to mention the Immortal Palace's punitive expedition. Even if the Soaring Dragon Mountain Range collapses now, they'll still risk their lives to save Spiritual Master Shao." "That's true. Even we're here. How can they not come?" First Elder also had a bitter expression as he said, "Even if they know that the forces of the Soaring Dragon Mountain Range are absolutely no match for Qingyu, they'll still throw eggs at a rock. When I rushed here from the hidden Immortal Continent, I received a message from Xiong Yi. Other than Li Xiong, who brought the necessary human disciples to guard the mountain and prepare to resist the Immortal Palace's punitive expedition, the other human and demon disciples all came out in full force to Qingyu." Ingpa answered, "They asked for a map of the Thousand Demon Sacred Realm and chose a place to gather there, waiting to meet up with me." Chapter 4363. Have you decided on a specific time? The second elder asked. More or less, but not a specific time. However, Xiong Yi and the others are all nascent soul cultivators. Although their disciples have disguised themselves and sneaked into the Thousand Demons' sacred territory, they should be faster than me. Ingpa answered, "Therefore, we need to discuss this matter quickly. The longer we delay, the easier it is for Qingyu to discover them." "And we understand." The first elder nodded. He pondered for a moment before saying, "In this old man's opinion, the Patriarch's decision to work with the Soaring Dragon Mountain Range's disciples was the best decision. Now that several thousand of our people are here, it will be troublesome if we continue to work with them." Ingpa naturally knew about Great Elder's private thoughts, but he didn't blame him. He nodded and said, "Great Elder is right. I'll write a Jedi scroll and have a reliable disciple send it over. We'll just set a time to launch a surprise attack on Bai Qingyu. Hearing Ing Po's advice, the great elder was even more delighted. He echoed, "These disciples of the soaring dragon mountain range are all humans. I'm afraid it's inconvenient for them to move around in the Thousand Demons sacred realm. Patriarch, why don't you send a few dozen elite disciples to lead the way for them?" Very good. Ing Po nodded with a smile. Just as he was about to give the order, he noticed something was wrong and asked in a low voice, "Where are the 7th and 9th elders?" A trace of embarrassment appeared on the first elder's face as he answered. This old man was afraid that there would be no one to deal with the matters in the merchant union, so I left them behind. Ing Po didn't mind. He was very clear in his heart. If a palm stretched out, 5 fingers wouldn't be the same. He couldn't expect the elders to think the same way as him. In less than half a cup of tea's time, Ing Po had selected the people to contact the Fortune Gate's disciples. He also gave them the Jedi pendant he had written, and gave them some instructions before sending them away. Ing Po then discussed with the elders on how to rescue Xiaohua from the jaws of death. Under the night sky, several dozen demonic beast clans set off again. They were heading towards a vast forest in the Thousand Demons sacred territory. At this time, at the edge of the forest, there were already a few bird-type demons flapping their wings and circling in the sky. These demons were different from ordinary demons. They did not fly far away, only a few dozen miles away. Whenever there was any movement, they would leave and land to investigate carefully. The moon fell and the stars were sparse. Dawn gradually appeared in the east. A few beast-like monsters slowly flew out from the mountain ridge in the distance. After these monsters flew out, they didn't directly fly forward. Instead, they scattered. After half a cup of tea's worth of time, another dozen or so human cultivators flew out from the mountain ridge. These human cultivators all held magic treasures in their hands and looked very cautious. After these human cultivators flew past, even more human cultivators flew out. A few birds in the sky saw this and let out a few low cries. Except for one bird that was still circling in the sky, the others all rushed down and flew towards these human cultivators. When the birds landed, a nascent soul cultivator in a Taoist robe flew out from the mountain ridge. This nascent soul cultivator had a red face, a pair of broom-like eyebrows, and a pair of leopard-shaped eyes. He looked very powerful without being angry. Behind this nascent soul cultivator, there was a pigeon bird that was about 2 zhang in size following closely behind. Wasn't this nascent soul cultivator Changyu, who was still a late-stage gold core cultivator when Xiaohua left the soaring dragon mountain range? Apart from being a lot younger, this Changyu's appearance didn't change much from before. Once the pigeon bird flew out, it immediately cawed and rushed into the sky, as if it wanted to meet up with the other birds in the distance. As soon as the pigeon moved, Changyu was startled. In order to not attract the attention of the demonic beasts, he didn't dare to release his divine sense too much. Changyu was about to stop the pigeon, but when he saw the bird in the sky, a smile appeared on his face. He muttered to himself, "I've wronged you during this period of time. I'll let you have some fun." As he spoke, Changyu had already released his divine sense. A moment later, another divine sense swept across the sea of trees in the distance. Seeing this, Changyu let out a long laugh and turned his head, saying, "Disciples, there are already Fortune Gate's disciples ahead. This place is already safe. Let's hurry over and meet up with your senior uncle Lan and senior uncle Xiong Yi." The dozens of gold core disciples in the surroundings were already pale. Their Taoist robes were tattered and blood-stained. It was obvious that they had encountered many demonic beasts along the way. When they heard Changyu's words, they were overjoyed. No longer hiding, they spurred their figures and flew into the distance. Changyu wasn't in a hurry. He waited until the several thousand disciples had flown away before he turned into a streak of light and landed in the sea of trees. Before he could land, he saw another cloud flying out from the forest. On that cloud was Xiaohua's other disciple, His Highness Lan. His Highness Lan was no different from when Xiaohua left. Seeing Changyu fly away, he smiled and said, "Junior brother Chang, you've worked hard." "Greetings, senior brother." Changyu didn't dare to be negligent. His figure appeared in the streak of light, and he bowed respectfully from afar. Junior brother is not tired. Junior brother thanks senior brother for coming to greet me. You're welcome. His Highness Lan helped Chong Yu up and said with a smile, You and I are senior brother, why be so polite? Yes, senior brother's teachings are right. Chong Yu replied. His tone was as respectful as ever. Although His Highness Lan and Chong Yu were both Xiao Hua's disciples, His Highness Lan was already a nascent soul disciple when he entered the Fortune Gate, while Chong Yu was only a late-stage Gold Core disciple. After Xiao Hua left, the Fortune Gate was led by Li Xiang, Xiongyi and Lan. The three of them were in charge of the Fortune Gate's affairs. Chong Yu later cultivated painstakingly and often received guidance from the three nascent soul senior brothers. Only then did he step into the nascent soul realm. In these 200 years, the Fortune Gate was divided into three factions, just like Xiao Hua's plan. Chong Yu was the last to enter the Fortune Gate. Although he had also accepted disciples, most of them were below the Gold Core realm. If he wanted to compete with the three nascent soul senior brothers, he was still too weak. Most of the disciples he brought to the Thousand Demons sacred grounds were Li Xiang's disciples. His disciples were left behind in the soaring Dragon Mountain range. As he spoke, Chong Yu looked around and asked curiously, Where's senior brother Xiongyi? Why isn't he here yet? That's right. A trace of confusion appeared on His Highness Lan's face. Previously, I received a message from a flying beast. I thought senior brother Xiong had arrived. Who knew that you would be one step ahead of me? Senior brother Xiong must have encountered some powerful demonic beast, right? That's right. Chong Yu replied with lingering fear. Previously, I always heard that the Thousand Demons sacred grounds was a demonic beast clan's sacred grounds, and it was definitely not a place that humans could enter. However, after today's trip, I found out that those words were not false. In fact, there were some reservations. Without a cultivation of 5th grade origin force, it's impossible to enter the Thousand Demons sacred grounds freely. Up until now, I've lost more than 40% of my disciples. How can one achieve 5th grade origin force? His Highness Lan was also worried. He replied, One has to be at least a mid-6th grade origin force to succeed. 6th grade origin force? Chong Yu smiled bitterly. That's the spirit-severing realm. I don't even dare to think about it. That's right. His Highness Lan turned to look at Bai Qingyu and said in a low voice, The future of this trip is uncertain. Not to mention the astral projection realm, we don't even know if we can step onto the hidden immortal mainland again. There are some paths that we can choose not to take, but there are some paths that we have to take even though we know it's a dead end. Chong Yu narrowed his eyes and said resolutely, Even if there's fear in your heart, let's toughen up. Let our hearts be numb. Junior brother is right. His Highness Lan smiled and looked at the rising sun. Sometimes we have to make some choices. Although this decision is a little difficult, I don't think this decision is difficult at all. Master's kindness to us is as heavy as a mountain. All these years, Master hasn't returned to the mountain. I didn't expect that he would be imprisoned by the Bai Qingyu demon clan. Chong Yu continued, After hearing this news, I couldn't sleep at night. If we don't save Master, I'll die in Bai Qingyu with Master. Senior brother Xiong should be here by now, right? His Highness Lan turned to another mountain ridge and asked with a frown. That's right. He should have arrived yesterday, right? Chong Yu looked at the mountain ridge worriedly. He should have met with some danger. His Highness Lan seemed to have made a decision. He turned and said, Junior brother Chong, you rest here first. I'll bring a few disciples over to take a look. I'll go too. Chong Yu said without hesitation. Although I've just stepped into the nascent soul realm, I can still be of help. Junior brother, you've just arrived. You should rest first. Besides, if both of us go, who's going to keep watch here? His Highness Lan didn't want Chong Yu to go. Chong Yu hesitated for a moment and shook his head. Senior brother's disciples can keep watch here. I'll go with senior brother to welcome senior brother Xiong. All right. His Highness Lan nodded helplessly and led Chong Yu into the forest. After a while, 2 nascent soul cultivators led a dozen late-stage golden core disciples and flew toward a mountain ridge. Past the mountain ridge was a dangerous place. The mountain ridge was full of cliffs. Not only was there no vegetation on the mountain, there weren't even complete rocks. The river between the mountain ridge was also emitting a fishy smell. There were many whirlpools and white foam in the river water. Sharp stones were stepping out of the river surface. Not long after, there would be fish floating up from the bottom of the river with their bellies upside down. Changyu's gaze swept over the place. His expression didn't change. He released his divine sense to look into the distance. He knew that it was because of this dangerous place that there were fewer demonic beasts. Xiongyi had to bring thousands of disciples through this place safely. After flying for another half a cup of tea, they didn't see Xiongyi's figure. Similarly, they didn't see any demonic beasts. Changyu and the others appeared in a dark pool. The surface of the pool was covered with a layer of strange algae, which was iron-black in color. Between the algae, there were lotus pod-like demonic herbs poking out of the pool. Some of the lotus pods were very small, only the size of a fist, while some were extremely large, at least a few feet long. Some of these lotus pod heads were blooming, while others were wrapped. There were many more. Chapter 43-64. Changyu didn't seem to mind. His gaze swept across the sky, and his figure continued to streak across the sky. At this time, Prince Lan suddenly slowed down. He turned around and asked, "Junior brother Chang, I suddenly thought of something and wanted to ask junior brother." Senior brother, please speak." Changyu answered without hesitation. "Do you think it's not worth it for us to send out the entire Fortune Gate to save Master?" Changyu was stunned. He asked in confusion, "What does senior brother mean?" There's nothing else. Just like you, even though I arrived a few days earlier, I encountered many demonic beasts and demonic beast clans along the way. 40% of the disciples I lead have been killed. Moreover, according to the investigation of the demons in the sect, Baiqingyu was an extremely dangerous place in the Thousand Demons Sacred Realm. Just like the information from the Luo-E Merchant Union, that demonic beast king has the strength of an 8th grade origin Qi realm cultivator, and even Master has been imprisoned by that demonic beast king. If we go there, wouldn't it be like hitting a rock with an egg? That's right. Changyu nodded. Even though Master is powerful and can definitely reach the 7th or 8th grade origin Qi realm in the future, he is still too young. He can't compare to the demonic beast clans in the 1,000 demonic sacred grounds, who have lived for hundreds of thousands of years. Moreover, our Fortune Gate's foundation is too weak, and we can't compare to Baiqingyu. Moreover, the soaring Dragon Mountain range has been discovered by the Immortal Palace, and they are about to launch a punitive expedition against our Fortune Gate. If we don't focus on resisting the Immortal Palace and look for reinforcements, even if we manage to save Master, he might not be happy, right? Changyu was taken aback. He stopped and raised his head to look at Prince Lan. He asked curiously, "Junior brother doesn't understand senior brother's words. The Fortune Gate is Master's Fortune Gate, and we are all Master's disciples. If we don't come to Master's rescue when he's in trouble, can we still be considered Master's disciples? Moreover, even though our Fortune Gate is facing the Immortal Palace, if we rescue Master with Master's ability, wouldn't the Soaring Dragon Mountain range be the same as the Black Wind Ridge? We can make a comeback." "How confident do you think we are in rescuing Master?" Prince Lan asked with a smile. Changyu answered without any hesitation, "Less than 5%. Prince Lan pointed at the Golden Core disciples behind him and sneered. These Golden Core disciples and the tens of thousands of Golden Core and Foundation Establishment disciples in the forest are bait. Their deaths will attract Baiqingyu's demons, while we, and the other demons in the sect, will take advantage of the chaos to find where Master is imprisoned. This plan is not bad, but has junior brother ever thought about it? Were the lives of these Golden Core disciples not worth their lives? Was Baiqingyu an ordinary place? An 8th grade origin Qi realm beast king. Even if there are 10 masters, even if all of our Fortune Gate's disciples were to gang up on him, they still wouldn't be a match for one of his fingers. Changyu shivered and was shocked. He hurriedly looked around and flew away to put some distance between him and His Highness Lan. Then he said coldly, "His Highness Lan, what do you mean by that? Don't tell me you don't want to save Master?" Changyu. Prince Lan didn't press the issue. Instead, he shook his head and said, "It's not that I don't want to save Master. The problem was that this so-called banquet was obviously a trap, And it was obviously meant to lure us into the trap. Since we knew it was a trap, why would we walk right into it? Master's enemy is an 8th grade origin Qi realm beast king. And he has been suppressed by this beast king for close to 200 years. Even if we rescue him, he would already be a cripple. Moreover, it's impossible for us to rescue him. Damn it. Chang Yu understood that they were far from 100 zhang away. He cursed angrily. People often say that you can know a person's face but not his heart. Prince Lan, I really didn't expect you to be such a person. What did you say in front of Master back then? For the fortune gate. Haha, I understand now. Yes, you're right, you're willing to pay any price for the fortune gate. But the price you have to pay for this sacrifice is Master and the affection between us senior and junior brothers. What you have to give up is a person's conscience. Speaking up to here, Chang Yu took a deep breath and looked at Prince Lan again. He advised earnestly, senior brother, I know that this is just a spur-of-the-moment idea. You're thinking too much because you've seen too many Fortune Gate disciples die. As long as you agree to return now and save Master with me, I can make a blood oath to pretend that nothing happened today. You're wrong. Prince Lan shook his head slightly and said, when the Continuous Merchant Union sent the news, I already thought of this. In the 200 years since Master left, our Fortune Gate has changed a lot. Others may not know, but we know very well. We are already the backbone of the hidden immortal mainland's Dao sects. Our Fortune Gate only needs to develop for a few hundred years, and we will definitely become the most important force to resist the Confucian cultivators. But in order to save Master, everything has to be turned to ashes. Everything we've done for the past few hundred years will turn into flowing water. I think it's really not worth it. Moreover, my Fortune Gate disciple is still going to throw his life away when Master has already been killed. It's even more unwise. Fine. Chang Yu's face was ashen. He raised his hand and said, if you don't want to go, Master, you can leave. I definitely won't say a word to Senior Brother Xiong and Senior Brother Li. But please, don't stop me from saving Master. Impossible. Prince Lan still shook his head. Ha ha ha, I understand. Chang Yu looked up to the sky and laughed. What you said is not what you're thinking. What you want is the entire Fortune Gate. It's your selfish desire to take the Fortune Gate for yourself that makes you so crazy. You want little brother to be buried here. You don't want little brother to leave alive, do you? Since you know, then I won't hide it from you. Prince Lan replied indifferently, actually, this trap was left for Xiong Yi. You can't see it in my eyes. But since you came first, you can't live, otherwise I don't have the confidence to deal with you and Xiong Yi. Gugu. Without waiting for Prince Lan to finish, Chang Yu waved his hand. The pigeon let out a shrill cry and rushed towards Prince Lan, blocking his path. Chang Yu opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood essence. The blood essence landed on his body. Wang. Wang. Crimson light flickered around Chang Yu's body, and his face turned red. His whole body turned into a crimson light and soared into the sky. His Highness Lan didn't panic at all. He waved his right hand and a giant hand appeared, immediately trapping the pigeon. Then the giant hand grabbed the pigeon, and with a boom, the pigeon was crushed by the giant hand. Its flesh and feathers were blown into the pond by the wind. Chang Yu didn't have time to look. The crimson light had already shot up several dozen zhang, but seeing Prince Lan so calm, Chang Yu couldn't help but be vigilant. Unfortunately, just as he was alerted, a large hand flickering with tricolored light broke through the air from the dozen or so golden core disciples standing in the distance and grabbed at Chang Yu's body. Damn it! Chang Yu was really caught off guard. He was familiar with all of Prince Lan's golden core realm disciples. Although Prince Lan had already turned hostile, these golden core realm disciples were still some distance away from Chang Yu. Chang Yu also knew that these disciples were no match for him, so he didn't take any precautions. Now that the giant hand had already sealed the space around Chang Yu, how could Chang Yu not know that this was the attack of a nascent soul realm cultivator? He roared, Prince Lan, you dare to collude with outsiders. While speaking, Chang Yu waved his hand and a golden light mixed with blood flew out and hit the giant hand. The giant hand's sealing power was great, but wherever the golden light landed, kacha, a series of crisp sounds could be heard. The sealing power around Chang Yu was shattered, and even a few fingers of the giant hand were destroyed. Seeing that the sealing power was about to collapse, there was a loud boom, and a seal several 100 feet in size flew out from the giant hand. The seal fell and smashed towards the golden light. Amidst the boom, the golden light was blocked, revealing a shuttle-shaped magic treasure. As for the seal, it was destroyed and kept rolling in the air. Looking at the shuttle-shaped magic treasure again, it only paused in the air for a moment. The bloody light on it flourished, and with a sound it hit the seal again. A golden sound rang out and the seal was broken in half by the shuttle-shaped magic treasure. Moreover, the power of the shuttle-shaped magic treasure did not decrease and still stabbed at the magic treasure behind the seal. Boom! The giant hand obviously could not withstand the sharpness of the magic treasure, and the fingers began to collapse. What a good Taoist Xiao! A voice rang out from behind the gold core disciples. Then, another crimson ring of light descended. The fluctuations on the ring of light were like boiling water, causing the surrounding space to tremble. After the flying magic treasure was enveloped by the fluctuations, it was like a spirit snake that had been struck by its weak point. No matter how hard it struggled, it was unable to break free. While Changyu urged the magic treasure, his figure did not hesitate at all and still turned into a bloody red color and rushed out of the pool. At this time, the voice laughed coldly and said, "Want to leave?" Along with this voice, another nascent soul giant hand fell out of the air and grabbed at Changyu like a meteor. Changyu did not care to see who it was. He rubbed his hands and several rays of light fell into the air, and layers of water ripples appeared in front of the giant hand. However, at this time Changyu was suddenly shocked. His figure quickly rushed up, and with a wave of his hands, another ray of light fell below him. Unfortunately, before that ray of light could form, another giant hand several times larger than the previous one appeared below him. This giant hand was even more powerful than the previous one, and it grabbed Changyu. The strength of the giant hand was so great that Changyu's body was immediately crushed. Looking at the water ripples that Changyu had just used, they had already defeated the giant hand above him. Chapter 4365. It turned out that the giant hand above Changyu's head was only used to lure the enemy. It was only an empty shell, and Changyu had actually fallen into the enemy's trap. Changyu's body shattered, and as his flesh and blood scattered, a 1-foot-long crimson infant flew out from the top of Changyu's head. This nascent soul held a shuttle-shaped magic treasure in its hands, and its face was filled with anxiety. Just as the nascent soul was about to activate the magic treasure, the light from the magic treasure flickered several times, and the flying shuttle that was trapped by the halo could not escape. The nascent soul spat out a mouthful of true yuan, which landed on the flying shuttle in its hands. The heaven-earth yuan qi around the flying shuttle condensed into a hurricane, but unfortunately, the flying shuttle had just taken shape and could not fly out. The giant hand that tore through Changyu's body rose again, and once again enveloped Changyu's nascent soul. At this time, Changyu no longer cared about counterattacking. Instead, the light around his body flashed rapidly, and a small part of his body was rapidly disintegrating. It seemed that he wanted to use teleportation to escape. It was also at this time that Lan Wang opened his mouth. Swoosh! A sword-like golden light rushed out, and the golden light streaked across the sky. Pooh! It pierced into the nascent soul's body, and Changyu's nascent soul that had just disappeared reappeared, and it was rapidly shrinking towards the golden light. Then die. Changyu saw that he was no match for the enemy, and knew that there was no way out. Boom! His entire nascent soul exploded. Seeing this, Lan Wang urged the nascent soul's hand, and hurriedly shouted at the group of golden core cultivators, "Senior Qing Su, quick! Don't let him attract the attention of others." Behind the golden core cultivators, spiritual master Qing Su's figure appeared, but he did not listen to Lan Wang's words. Instead, he raised his hand, and the dozen or so golden core cultivators who were unprepared were all caught by him, and their magic power was sealed. "Senior." Lan Wang was shocked. "What are you doing?" Spiritual Master Qing Su did not answer Lan Wang at all. Instead, he waved his hand, and the dozen or so golden core cultivators were all thrown into the explosion of the nascent soul. A series of explosions sounded, and blood splattered everywhere. Minced flesh and broken limbs fell from the air, and they fell into the pitch-black pool. Qingsu Junren, what are you doing? Seeing that Changyu's nascent soul had disappeared in the wake of the shockwave, his nascent soul's hand had also collapsed from the explosion, and the entire pool had been blown up into the air along with the countless algae and lotus flowers. When the pool water fell back down, it was soaked in the blood of a dozen golden core cultivators. In the entire sky above the pool, other than himself, there was only Reverend Qingsu. Prince Lan could not help but say angrily. Taoist Master Qingsu did not answer. He raised his hand and pointed. The halo fell and Changyu's flying shuttle fell into his hand. Spiritual Master Qingsu stroked the flying shuttle, which was still unyielding like a spirit snake, and sighed. Spiritual Master Shao, oh Spiritual Master Shao, you are indeed a genius. The magic weapon you casually gave to your disciple can be so powerful. This old man is truly impressed. Spiritual Master Qingsu opened his mouth and a spiritual talisman fell down, imprisoning the flying shuttle and keeping it in his arms. Only then did he release his divine sense to check for a moment and said to Prince Lan, since Changyu is in danger, how can you not be injured? Since you are injured, how can your disciples return alive? Moreover, these disciples have seen you kill your own junior brother. Do you think you can rest assured that they are still alive? But these are my trusted disciples that I have painstakingly cultivated. Prince Lan was really angry. The entire fortune gate will be yours in the future. Do you still care about these small sacrifices? Taoist Master Qingsu took out the universe ring from his bosom and threw some demon race corpses into the pool. He smiled and said, moreover, after you kill Xiongyi and bring these disciples back to the hidden immortal mainland, not only will the Grand Mist Ancestor reward you, he will also send you more subordinates. These disciples today are nothing. I am not greedy for the ancestor's reward. I just don't want the fortune gate that I have painstakingly built to be destroyed. Prince Lan was still angry. Spiritual Master Qingsu smiled and waved his hand. There is no need to say any more. Changyu's death must have attracted the attention of the fortune gate's disciples. Moreover, Xiongyi will be here soon. You better think of an explanation quickly. Prince Lan snorted coldly and didn't say anything. He knew that Spiritual Master Qingsu was telling the truth. However, he only flew for 1,000 feet before he cursed, damn it. How could Changyu arrive first? How could his death not arouse Xiongyi's suspicion? How should I kill Xiongyi? Moreover, why was this Changyu so stubborn? Master can't save him, so why can't he protect the fortune gate? Since you can't kill him, then follow the ancestor's plan. Bring the disciples to attack by Qingyu, and find an opportunity during the battle. The ancestor will also arrange for disciples to assist you. Even if you can't kill Xiongyi, your prestige will surpass Xiongyi's. When you return from the Thousand Beasts Sacred Land to the Soaring Dragon Mountain Range, Li Xiang will naturally be under you. His Highness lands and Reverend Qingsu's voices grew softer and softer as their figures disappeared. The waves on the pitch-black pool still could not calm down and the color of blood did not disappear. Even though the flesh and corpses had fallen into the deep pool, the traces of blood were smeared on the algae. After the time it took to finish a meal, the smell of blood had faded away, and the water in the pool had also gradually calmed down. At a corner of the pool, a lotus flower that was a few feet in size quietly bloomed, and an incomplete nascent soul emerged from it with shock and weakness. Wasn't that Xian Ping's nascent soul, who had escaped from Yizhao Ridge earlier? Xian Ping's nascent soul didn't dare to stay here for long. He forcefully sucked in a breath of heaven and earth origin energy, and his body emitted a dim light. He randomly found a direction and hurriedly fled. What? Junior brother Changyu was in danger? Although Xiongyi was very sad when he heard the news of Changyu's death, there wasn't much surprise in his tone. After all, from the hidden immortal continent to the Thousand Demons Sacred Territory, he had lost close to 50% of the Fortune Gate's disciples. Moreover, when he was passing through the demonic demon race's territory, he had encountered the demonic demon race's patrol team. Coincidentally, the patrol team had a mountain patrol envoy. Although Xiongyi and the other Fortune Gate's disciples had killed the patrol team, they had paid a heavy price, and Xiongyi himself was also injured. If Xiongyi was already in such a state, how could Changyu, who had just stepped into the early nascent soul realm, be any better? Therefore, Xiongyi didn't have any doubts about Prince Lan's words. That's right. At this time, Prince Lan's face was also pale, as if he was injured. Junior brother Chong just arrived here and realized that senior brother didn't arrive in time. He was worried and insisted on bringing his disciples to welcome you. How could junior brother let him come? Thus, he brought his disciples to welcome you. Junior brother Chong was afraid that junior brother's strength wasn't enough, so he insisted on following me. In the end, an hour ago, we met the demonic demon race at the lake on the mountain ridge. Prince Lan choked as he said this. Junior brother Chong Yu and a dozen of junior brother's disciples died in that battle. In order to protect junior brother Chong Yu self-detonated his nascent soul and perished together with the mountain patrol envoy. Xiong Yi sighed and patted Prince Lan's shoulder. Junior brother, don't blame yourself too much. Bring me there to take a look. Prince Lan was overjoyed. He raised his hand and pointed to the distance but stopped. Xiong Yi, it's there. But junior brother doesn't recommend senior brother to go there. Junior brother clearly saw that junior brother Chong Yu didn't leave behind any remains. Moreover, the mountain patrol envoy died. Who knows if their mountain patrol master will come? Did you bring back junior brother Chang's belongings? Xiong Yi asked again. Junior brother Chang's natal magic treasure has already exploded. Junior brother didn't have time to pick up his storage bag, so it should have fallen into the lake. Prince Lan didn't take these things back then because he wanted to lure Xiong Yi back. However, Xiong Yi thought for a moment and sighed, if you didn't take them, then don't take them. Most of junior brother Chang's belongings were left to the Soaring Dragon Mountain Range disciples. Whether we can return today is still a question. What do we need those things for? After saying this, Xiong Yi instructed, let's go quickly. After we meet up, we'll quickly change locations. Since we've already attracted the attention of the mountain patrol master, it's inevitable that there will be a big battle. Yes, senior brother. Prince Lan couldn't help feeling disappointed, but he didn't dare to refute and nodded his head in agreement. Although Xiaohua had made it clear before leaving the Soaring Dragon Mountain Range that the entire Fortune Gate would be jointly managed by Xiong Yi, Prince Lan, and Li Xiang was different from Xiong Yi and Prince Lan. He was more of a supervisor. Compared to Xiong Yi and Prince Lan, Xiong Yi was more proficient in sect affairs and had great foresight. His ability to judge the situation and size up the situation was better than Prince Lan's. Therefore, although the two of them discussed many things, and Xiong Yi also listened to Prince Lan's opinion, Prince Lan was well aware that he couldn't compare to Xiong Yi. The matter of going to the Thousand Beasts Sacred Land to save Xiaohua was also arranged by Xiong Yi. When the two nascent soul cultivators returned to the Forest Sea, the Fortune Gate disciples all sighed when they heard that Chong Yu had fallen. However, Chong Yu didn't have many disciples, and the number of Fortune Gate disciples that died this time was too high, so no one suspected anything. When they received Xiong Yi's order, they hurriedly packed up. Some flew, some escaped, and some rode on flying boats. More than 10,000 people quickly moved to another location. Xiong Yi was naturally with Royal Highness Lan. At this time he had already taken a pill, and the color on his face had slightly recovered. He frowned and asked Royal Highness Lan, Junior brother, has Patriarch Bo of the Lui Merchant Union not arrived yet? Yes. Prince Lan nodded and replied, Junior brother has been waiting here for more than 10 days, but I haven't seen any demonic beasts from the Flowing Merchant Union. Moreover, we didn't set a specific time with him. Judging from the itinerary, it should be in the next few days. Xiong Yi pondered for a moment and nodded slightly. This place is not far from Bai Qingyu. If we continue forward, I'm afraid we'll attract Beast Monarch Bai Qingyu's attention. We can only wait here for a few more days. After we meet up with Bo, we'll find a suitable solution. Chapter 4366. Senior Brother. His Highness Lan tried to sound Huang Xiaolong out. Ever since Ingpa sent a message to our Fortune Gate, there hasn't been any news from him. Even though he was the one who arranged the 3 groups of disciples' route to the Fortune Gate. However, there hasn't been any news from him after such a long time. This junior brother feels that something is wrong. What's wrong? Xiong Yi smiled. The Endless Stream Commerce Union took the initiative to come to our Fortune Gate, and at the same time presented Master's token. In the past 200 years, our Fortune Gate and the Endless Stream Commerce Union have grown closer. As we grow, so do they. From what Ingpa said, the Endless Stream Commerce Union's development is inseparable from our fortune gate, and even more inseparable from Master. Without Master, the Endless Stream Commerce Union wouldn't exist today. If Ingpa was a demonic beast, this junior brother wouldn't think too much. After all, Ingpa is also a demonic beast that values friendship. He wouldn't do anything to betray Master. His Highness Lan replied, however, Ingpa is not only a demonic beast, he is also the patriarch of a tribe, and represents the Endless Stream Commerce Union. For Master, we can disregard the price and come even if we know it's a dead end. But what about Ingpa's tribe? They may not be. Xiongyi raised his head and saw that the sky was already covered with dark clouds. The originally clear sky was unknowingly covered by a strong wind, and not only did the wind fail to blow away the dark clouds, it even added to the bleakness of the sky. Xiongyi looked at the clouds in the sky, and a strange light flashed in his eyes as he replied, everything depends on the will of the people. Justice only exists between heaven and earth. Xiongyi's words were sincere, but His Highness Lan snorted disdainfully at his words. However, His Highness Lan didn't dare to say anything, and only replied, yes, junior brother understands. Right at this time, the scouting bird suddenly dove down from the clouds in the sky, heading in a certain direction. Seeing this, Xiongyi's expression was neither happy nor sad as he ordered, junior brother, go take a look. If I'm not mistaken, Ingpa should be here. Yes, senior brother. His Highness Lan was a little surprised by Ingpa's arrival. He nodded and flew over to where Ingpa was. Sure enough, not long after, dozens of Ingpa's clansmen hurriedly rushed over. After saluting Xiongyi, they presented their jade eyes to him and respectfully said, Xiong sect leader, our clan heard that Taoist Master Xiao is in trouble. Therefore, we came here with the full strength of our clan to rescue him. Because there are too many people, if we were to stay together with the disciples of the Soaring Dragon Mountain Range, it would be easy to attract the attention of other demon clans. Therefore, our patriarch sent us here to lead the way for the disciples of the Soaring Dragon Mountain Range. Patriarch will lead more than 6,000 of our clansmen to set off from other places. As for the specific details, please check the Jade Eyes sect head. When Royal Highness Lan heard this, he unconsciously sucked in a breath of cold air. He understood the situation of the Ingbo clan. In the early years, the Ingbo clan lost their place of residence in the Thousand Demons Sacred Realm due to fighting. The entire clan moved to the hidden Immortal Continent, and that was how the Luo-Yi Merchant Union came into existence. In other words, the Ingbo clan only had a little more than 3,000 people back then, and was on the verge of extinction. Although after more than 200 years of recuperation, the Luo-Yi Merchant Union had now reached more than 10,000 clansmen. However, the Luo-Yi Merchant Union was also very large now. For the Ingbo clan to send more than 6,000 clansmen to rescue Xiaohua, it was indeed the strength of the entire clan. This made Royal Highness Lan really unable to understand. I thank you on behalf of Master. Xiongyi nodded slightly. I won't say any more superfluous words. Everything will be discussed after we rescue Master. Yes, we understand. That demon was very clever. After saluting, he quickly left. Xiongyi picked up the Jade Eyes and looked at it for a moment. Then, he said to Royal Highness Lan, pass down the order to all disciples. 3 days later, according to the plan, we will attack Bai Qingyu. Yes. At this point, how could Royal Highness Lan still dare to say half a word of objection? He could only go along with it and think of another set of countermeasures in his heart. The clear sky was gone and the clouds were dense. Wind and clouds were coming. Would the heavy snow be far away? Looking at the layers of clouds above Bai Qingyu for more than 10 days, the cold wind blew again and again, but there were no raindrops falling. And on this day, finally, a little bit of snow was born from the layers of clouds. It transformed into a salt pan and sprinkled down, as though it was adding some flavor to the feast. Ha ha ha. The heavens are really helping us. Bai Qingyu's demon monarch Bai Qing's slightly hoarse voice drifted in the snow. The human race often says that drinking wine in the rain and eating meat in the snow are the 2 greatest pleasures in life. Now, seeing that my Bai Qingyu's feast is about to start, even the heavens want to attend it. Yes, congratulations brother Bai, congratulations brother Bai. Ancient Bell Mountain's demon monarch in Iquan's voice sounded at the same time. This is the omen of Bai Qingyu's great prosperity. I'm very envious. I don't dare. Bai Qing laughed again and said, with ancient Bell Mountain and concealed Sky Ridge in front of us, how would I, Bai Qingyu, dare to talk about prosperity? It's only because there's another demon brother behind me that I have the guts to add some jokes to the Thousand Demons Sacred Realm. Haha, yes, it's rare for the Thousand Demons Sacred Realm to be so lively. The Demon King of Shrouding Sky Ridge didn't continue to flatter her. Instead, he followed Bai Qing's words and said, today, Bai Qingyu's banquet actually attracted humans, demons, and even dragons. It truly surprised many demon kings nearby. Come, let's toast, brother Bai. And Iquan continued. Please. All the demon monarchs and demon generals congratulated in unison. The liveliness drove away the coldness in the entire world. The place where the voices came from was the foothills in front of the Heavenly Dam Water Prison. Now a feast had already been set up. At the top, the 3 demon monarchs were raising their cups. On the stone table in front of them, bloody meat was steaming with the smell of blood. Below the 3 demon monarchs, there were many greater demons raising their cups to congratulate them. Below the greater demons, there were dozens of demon generals who were either prostrating, sitting cross-legged, or leaning against the wall. All of them raised their wine cups and held bloody meat in their hands, shouting loudly and making a racket. What a lively scene! After 3 rounds of drinking and a little bit of meat, the liveliness died down a little. Bai Qing was a little displeased. He released his Yuan will to look around and asked loudly, where's the mountain patrol? I'm here. A demon of the 6th grade Yuan Qi flew out from the foothills and bowed respectfully. The feast has already begun. Where's the promise feast? Yes, Your Majesty. I've already followed Your Majesty's instructions and retreated the demon soldiers in Bai Qingyu's 4 realms, the mountain patrol hastily replied. I think at this moment those tough humans, before the mountain patrol could finish his words, Demon Monarch Peng Jun's eyes suddenly flashed with golden light. He laughed and said, it's coming, the liveliness is coming. Haha, as expected. And Iquan also looked up into the distance and laughed while clapping his claws. There. The group of greater demons also turned their heads and looked in that direction. Seeing this, Bai Qing shouted, don't release your primordial thoughts. Don't disturb our food. Then he turned his head and shouted, come, pass my order. Beat the drum and start the feast. Open the demon array. Yes, Your Majesty. The mountain patrol answered and raised his hand to take out a triangular flag. As he activated his demon energy, a demon cloud flew out from the flag and landed between the mountains and swamps. Boom! At the place where the demon cloud landed, hundreds of tricolored light pillars shot up into the sky and enveloped the space within 100 miles. These light pillars slowly fell from the sky and intertwined with each other. A huge light screen slowly unfolded in front of the foothills. On the light screen was a scene 10,000 miles away. Before the demons could see what was on the light screen, dong dong dong, the sound of war drums sounded from above their heads again. The demons looked up and saw hundreds of shell-type demons stretching out their transmogrified tentacles. The tentacles held drumsticks that were a few feet thick and were beating the huge drum that was more than 100 feet in size. The sound of the drum spread in all directions. Before the sound of the drum, the halo caused by the light pillars stirred up the clouds. Layers of clouds surged in all directions. At the end of the turbulent clouds, between the towering mountain, 4 rainbows streaked across the sky. The divine will also swept across the sky like a surging river. When it swept across the 5-colored halo that covered the mountains and swamps, the halo produced layers of ripples. Many illusions appeared between the ripples. When the divine will fell into it, it immediately showed signs of dissipating. The 4 divine wills did not dare to delay and quickly retreated. When the rainbow stopped in midair, Zhang Daoran, Sun Kong, Zhai Xingzi, and Gusu Chodi appeared in the clouds. Unsurprisingly, the 4 of them all showed a trace of paleness on their faces. Their eyes were also filled with shock. We're finally here. The shock in Gusu Chodi's eyes faded. Unconsciously, she revealed a sense of relief. She muttered in a low voice and turned to look at the direction they came from. Using her injured divine will, she said again, Xingzi, I'm afraid the people from the Xianhuang token will catch up soon. That's right. Pity appeared on Zhai Xingzi's face. He said again, we've been in a hurry. Now that we've finally stepped into Bai Qingyu's sphere of influence, we have no regrets even if we die. However, Chior, it's been hard on you. It's okay. Gusu Chodi narrowed her eyes and looked at the five-colored halo that began to fill the area ahead. She was not inferior to men. She smiled and said, accompanying my husband for a day is equivalent to accompanying the Xianhuang Immortal Palace for 100 years. I've been with my husband for so long and I'm already filled with happiness. I once swore that I don't want to be born on the same day, but I want to die on the same day. It's my fortune to be able to go to the netherworld with my husband today. Zhai Xingzi was a bit choked up. He held Gusu Chodi's hand and said, if I don't die today, the first thing I do when I return to the hidden immortal continent is to go to the Gusu clan to ask for your hand in marriage. Not to mention being bullied, even if I'm beaten to death, I'll accept it. Zhai Xing. Every woman wanted a proper status. Even Gusu Chodi, who was a 5th-level origin power grandmaster, could not escape the nature of this kind of woman. She knew that Zhai Xingzi's status was far from hers, and the Gusu clan would definitely not agree. Furthermore, she had faked her death, so it would be extremely difficult for Zhai Xingzi to officially marry her. Now that she heard Zhai Xingzi's words, she couldn't help but feel sad. Tears even flowed down her face. She nodded and said, my husband is right. What I have to face, I have to face eventually. I want to be my husband's real wife. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.